Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, the board will participate in an equity workshop, and if the board deems it necessary, a special meeting will follow. I now call the board workshop to order at 1 p.m. on May 26, 2021. Mrs. Bass, please call the roll.
District 1, Barbara McQuinn.
Here.
District 2, Alexandria Ayala.
Here.
District 3, Karen Brill. District 4, Erica Whitfield.
Here.
District 5, Frank Barbieri.
Here.
District 6, Marcia Andrews.
Here.
District 7, Deborah Robinson.
Here.
We have quorum with 6 board members present. Also joining us is Superintendent Dr. Donald Fenoy, General Counsel Sean Bernard, Inspector General Teresa Michael, and Board Clerk Carol Bass. Senior staff members will join us periodically as directed by the Superintendent. Viewers and listeners can access the meeting today by either watching on Comcast channels 234 and 235, UVerse channel 99, or by using the YouTube link on our webpage at palmbeachschools.org. In the event that the link is interrupted for technical reasons, please switch over to the TV channels. All board meetings are recorded in their entirety and posted on the district website within 24 hours. We also offer a listening-only option, which the public can access by calling 561-357-5900 or toll-free at 1-866-930-7015. The meeting ID is 1-561-880-1124 #. This meeting is being transcribed by a closed captioner, so remember to speak at a reasonable pace. Will everyone please stand for the pledge to be led by Superintendent Fenoy.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome any public speakers who are joining us in person today. While your attendance here at the board meeting is appreciated, please be mindful of important safety protocols that the board now has in place to conform with COVID-19 safety guidelines and school board policies. The School District of Palm Beach County supports the peaceful assembly of persons to express themselves regarding matters concerning district students, employees, and the community. However, if such peaceful assembly results in a disturbance, those persons may be subject to arrest or other lawful action, so please be respectful of all persons who are present on school district property today. In an effort to keep all participants and district employees safe, everyone must obey all lawful orders issued by law enforcement, which may include remaining or moving to a specific area or location, lowering voices for safety reasons, or other safety-related commands. Please sit only in designated seats, do not move any furniture, and do not move about the room unless you are speaking at the podium. Exiting to the meeting safety protocols and procedures as I have outlined. Please respect this cautionary warning that in the event of interference with the orderly processes of the meeting, failure to follow the safety protocols and procedures, or otherwise disruptive conduct will result in removal of the person from the meeting or other action. Thanking you in advance for helping to maintain decorum and the orderly conduct of school board business. Before I turn over the workshop to the superintendent, we will first hear from in-house speakers, followed by recorded speakers on the topic of today's workshop. As I call your name, please come to the nearest podium. I'll call you 3 at a time. When you get to the podium, it doesn't matter which order you were in out of those 3. Whoever gets there first, just take the microphone and please state your name for the record as you start to speak. Please watch the clock. With a lot of speakers, we have 45 speakers today, so please be mindful of the clock so we can get through everyone in a timely fashion. You have 3 minutes to speak. I don't like to cut anybody off, but so please don't make me do that. Please try and watch the clock and finish up within the 3 minutes. We'll start with Representative Omari Hardy, Chuck Ridley, Rory Geller-Monani. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Would one of you, all 3 of you, come up and one of you take the podium first?
Some panel issues next door, so they're restarting.
Hold on a minute. What's your microphone on? Try again.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Now
ma'am,
it's
go
on,
ahead.
okay.
State your name, please.
My name is Rory Geller Mohammed. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Rory Geller Mohammed, and I am here today to express support for the school district's current equity statement. I am here speaking as a parent of a 3- and 5-year-old in District 3, as a licensed clinical social worker, a member of Organizing Against Racism Palm Beach County Alliance, and today especially, I am here representing the Palm Beach unit of the National Association of Social Workers, also known as the NASW. The NASW is the largest membership organization of professional social workers in the world, with over 100,000 members and 4,259 members in Florida. I'm standing before you today with my colleagues speaking on behalf of over 500 local members of the Palm Beach NASW unit, many of whom are also parents with children in schools in the district throughout the county. Not only are we in support of the current equity statement, but also here to offer our help in this work. As mental health professionals that work in various capacities throughout the county, including the school district, we understand how important the current equity statement is to ensure that the district is working towards racial equity for students and actively doing the work to dismantle racism and other systems of oppression and inequity. As social work professionals that work with children, youth, adults, and families, we wholeheartedly support the school district statement and commitment, as you have written it, to dismantle structures rooted in white advantage and transform our systems by hearing and elevating underrepresented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating bias, and redistributing resources to provide equitable outcomes. We know from experience how important this is for the education and well-being of the children and youth in our county. In closing, as a parent, mental health clinician, and as the representative speaking on behalf of the over 500 members of the Palm Beach County unit of the National Association of Social Workers, we not only urge you to keep the current equity statement, but we are also inspired by it and are here to support you in our community and living up to it. Thank you. I'm also a member of the Organizing Against Racism Palm Beach County Alliance, and we're calling upon the school board to uphold the current mission and vision statement, which is a representation to the commitment of equity for student success. The Organizing Against Racism Palm Beach County Alliance is a network of more than 250 individuals representing residents, parents, nonprofit organizations, service providers, educational institutions, businesses, and governments, to name a few across the county, who want to support each other while deepening our understanding of how to be effective anti-racists. We have come together to develop awareness around how racism lives in each of us and in our institutions, so we can be strong, organized, and clear in our efforts to dismantle racism. Thank you.
Thank you.
To the board chair, the board itself, superintendent. My name is Chuck Ridley, and I represent today the Coalition for Black Student Achievement. For those who are not aware of who the coalition is, our mission and purpose is in our name, and we take that and make that statement unapologetically. Also, I'm here to speak in support of the equity statement as currently written. I'm not really sure how we got here. So let me just start by saying the Black children and families of this county deserves better than this from this board. Your employees deserve better than this from this board. And for God's sake, you as colleagues deserve better from each other. This is absolutely ridiculous. For over 25 years, the coalition has come to this body advocating for equity. And in numerous of meetings, those of you who are sitting on this board have pledged your support. I've watched this entire process, and not once did I hear from any of you any misgivings around the process and how you ended with the final product. In fact, I started questioning myself, asking, did I have a bad read on you all? Had you come to understand the very nature and impact of structural racism? Had you begun to understand how structural racism created genocide, created chattel slavery, stole, mass murder of folk who looked like me and folk who was here long before any of us got here. And I've sat through and watched you as a board challenge when the statement was made by one of your employees, and that man lost his career, and I saw the passion. But I wasn't wrong. You are exactly who I thought you were. And oftentimes you accuse me of calling you racist. I've never called you racist at a school board meeting. That don't mean I haven't called you racist. Just didn't do it at a school board meeting. At school board meetings, I call you cowards because you will not stand, and I've seen you cave too often, to powerful interest. So to the remainder of the community, nobody is going to come save us. So we invite each of you who want to fight for equity for children to join the Coalition for Black Student Achievement this Saturday. Look on our website, find us, and we're going to tell you how we're going to organize to end this nonsense.
After Representative Hardy, I'll call three more names. Be ready, please. Megan Bell, Anita Winkus, and George Borowski. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, well, first off, thank you guys for recognizing me and for giving me the 3 minutes during this meeting. My mother retired a few years ago after a 3-decade-long career in education. She taught history, and so when we did things as a family, history education was often infused into it. Going into the 3rd grade that summer, we had a vacation. We went up all the way up the East Coast. We stopped in some cities, Savannah, Colonial Williamsburg. And in Williamsburg, I bought a toy musket. It was the kind of musket you could hold in your hand, but it was very realistic. And we had brought our cousins along, and so I was playing with my cousin with this toy musket. And my mom saw us, and she was across the room. She rushed over and said, "Oh no," took the toy musket from me and put it in her purse, and I didn't see that for the rest of the vacation. And I asked her, I said, "Why are you taking my toy?" And she said to me, "I'm not going to allow some police officer to mistake this for a real gun so that he could shoot you." Now, I said in my head, not out of my mouth, but in my head, that this lady's crazy. And years later, when I saw 12-year-old Tamir Rice play with a toy gun in a park on surveillance camera, and I saw him be shot by that officer, I realized, by the way, he was a little older than me, I realized what my mother was talking about. That is white advantage. White advantage is being able to do the things that children do, and for your parents to not have to worry whether some person looking at this black boy doing a child's thing, like playing with a toy gun, or walking back from the store as Trayvon Martin was with Skittles and soft drinks. White advantage is being able to live your life without having to worry about if those things will kill you. So as you guys think about whether you can combat white advantage without calling it out by name, I ask you to acknowledge first that it's real, that you can't fight it without calling it by name, and that what folks in my community need are for our leaders to not be faint-hearted about these issues and to have the courage that's required to do the work of ending racism in this country. That's all we ask.
Hi, my name is Megan Bell, and I'm here to speak in support of the equity statement as it is written. First of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you to the board members who are sitting on the dais. Thank you for writing the equity policy that you have written. Thank you for your bravery, and thank you for naming names and calling a spade a spade. It made me very proud to be a parent of 3 children in Palm Beach County School District schools. It made me proud to be a teacher, and it made me proud to be an alumni to read the equity statement as you wrote it. Thank you for the time and the effort that you put in to craft that statement. It is very clear that each word was specifically chosen. It's very clear that there's so much time and energy put into that policy when you read it. Thank you also for putting the 200,000 children that are in your care, in your hearts and in your minds as you make decisions on this dais, because you know that you are here to help the children to be strong, healthy, productive members of society, and not to listen to a fringe, angry group of parents. Thank you for acknowledging the world that we live in, that we were all born into, that has white advantage. And thank you for your equity statement, which inspires us to build a better world for our children. We must name it, to know it, and to fix it. And the equity policy, as it is written, gives words and voice to the systems that we live in. As I was talking to community members and family members about this issue, people ask me, but I know white advantage exists in the world, but is it really in Palm Beach County schools? And I had to tell them, unfortunately, yes, it is. White children in Palm Beach County schools are 3.6 times more likely than black students to be in AP classes. And because you all keep those children in your hearts, you know that that can impact the rest of their lives, whether they are in an AP class or not. In Palm Beach County schools, black children are 4.2 times more likely than white children to be suspended. And because you keep our children close to your heart, you know that that can have an impact on the rest of their life. Their ability to get scholarships, their ability to go to college, their abilities to even stay in their homes. Also, Palm Beach County schools are considered highly segregated according to national metrics, which means that black students are in black schools and white students are in white schools. That's not reflective of our communities that we live in. But you guys are aiming to do better with this equity statement. So I'm asking you to please keep the statement as it is written, because naming white advantage is good for all of our students, even our white students. Because if we do not identify white advantage for what it is, and we do not name it and acknowledge it, then we are taking away from our white children one of the best learning tools they could possibly have, which is natural consequences. As an educator, we know that natural consequences are one of the most powerful teachers. So please keep the equity statement as it is written for all of our students, black, white, everybody. Thank you.
My name is Anita Winkus. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm a member of Organizing Against Racism Palm Beach County Alliance. We are calling upon the School Board of Palm Beach County to uphold the current mission and vision statement, which is a representation to the commitment of equity for student success. We stand in opposition to the potential repeal of the recently approved School District of Palm Beach County's equity statement. Now more than ever, it is critical to not only close achievement gaps that have long been burdensome to Black and Brown students, but to create a future where every student, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, identity, ability, and sexual orientation and/or other identities, achieve educational equity. As a voting resident of District 2, I know that removing acknowledgement of white advantage only adds fuel to the false claims that the district is teaching white children to be ashamed of their skin color. We know that isn't true, and the remedy is not to remove the truth, but to educate on the truth. The truth is not divisive. The truth is not divisive. Racism is divisive. So thank you.
After Mr. Borowski, Catherine Caminio, Cindy Falco, and Beverly Becker.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is George Borowski. My siblings and I were born into a one-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn, New York. We grew up in the inner city streets where everyone looked different, but was born into the same struggles regardless of skin tone. I had to walk to school in fear every day because of avenue gangs. When I made it to school, it reminded me of my treatment here last week and how I was treated with no compassion for my opinion. Being met with political police force and metal detectors. My middle school in Brooklyn felt like a prison, windows with metal bars to keep kids inside or being thrown out by gangs in the school. It was dirty old buildings covered with graffitis ran by political types like you. The color of my skin had nothing to do with the fact I went to public school, even though it was hell for me on most days to get my high school diploma. The color of my skin had nothing to do with my choice to work 3 dead-end jobs, cleaning bathrooms and flipping burgers while attending community college. The color of my skin had nothing to do with the sleepless nights spent studying to get my grades up to transfer from community college to attain my bachelor's degree in economics. I always worked low-paying jobs while studying and trying to get my economics degree. After college, I was finally hired. It was because of the hundreds of resumes I submitted relentlessly in finding an employer to give me a shot. This was because of my effort, not my skin color. In fact, my boss looked differently than me. He saw me for who I was, not based on my skin color. He saw me as a hardworking kid who wanted this job and was going to do the best that he can do for the company. After college, when I was finally hired, all of my hard work was based on 80 hours plus a week working. I worked a full-time job and started a business. I maxed out my credit cards to fund my business. I worked hundreds of hours a week in my full-time job in my business. I'm here today to tell you because it's not because of my white advantage. It's because of my hard work. The message that you're sending to kids is unfair. You're teaching them that their skin color is going to put them at a disadvantage. It's untrue. I'm an inner city kid. I beat the system. What I see today is I see political hacks. I see something as an adult that I've never thought that I would see. I figured out that the path that you are causing for these kids is basically a path of liberal communism. I see that you want to talk about skin color. You don't want to teach our kids that they can do anything they can do and that the system isn't rigged against them. It's based on their efforts and hard work. I have no political affiliation, but I happen to look up all your political affiliations and find that most of you are Democrats. I'm not surprised. This is no longer the party of JFK. You're now the party of communism. You have definitely done a disgrace to JFK, and you definitely have made it sure that I will never register as a Democrat.
Catherine Camino, Cindy Falco, Beverly Becker.
First, Catherine Camino. Catherine Camino. My name is Cindy Falco. Call it what you may, but it's the same. Black Lives Matter, critical race theory. Now they're trying to fool you with equity-embedded system. They're changing the word. It's all the same lie, and it all leads to Marxism, hatred, and murder. This is the theater of theatrics, and they are using your children to play the part. It's straight up communism and hate. Hate your country, hate white people, hate anything that is good and true. They are teaching your children to turn against you, just as Hitler did in the time of communism with the Jewish people. Parents, wake up. Do not be deceived by the color coding that they're trying to do to confuse you. They think they can fool you with nice words and a play on words like equity, so you associate it with equality, but it's nothing of equality. They actually had a workshop on using beautiful words and talking to each other on how they can hide this evil and hatred that they want you and your children to act out. Here's a few samples. They use words like, we'll use the word embrace, or the joy of learning, emotional, affirm, inspire. You throw out words like candy to hide the evil that you are doing. As many have stated, you can't put lipstick on a pig and make evil look good. We the people have awoke to your schemes and we will not tolerate one more minute of it. Deborah Robinson says, stop killing the children's dreams. I say to you, stop teaching them to hate and stop muzzling our children. They are not your children, and they are not yours to experiment on. Take your hands off of them now. Frank Barberi says he wants to bring on board the evil of Marxism under the guise of equity embedded system for adoption now. Really? This is neo-Marxism, parents. Look it up for yourselves. He wants your children. He wants to indoctrinate your children. He wants to teach your children hate if you're white or if you're black. I don't see color. I don't see color. I see human beings because we're all created in the image of God. And if you keep buying into this system, parents, about a skin color, lighter brown, darker brown, white, we're all shades of beige. Wake up and smell the coffee and stop buying into this evil that they're trying to perpetuate on you and myself. And who is this Mary Furtakis? Really? She calls herself the educational equity consultant? This woman needs to be taken out of her position. And I'm going to leave my last words with you, but when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing inavailability, the same objective evinces are designed to reduce them under absolute deposition of them. It is the right, it is the duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for the future. I am telling every one of you on the dais, you are fired.
Definition of District of Palm Beach County is the following. Equity means each student, regardless of race, ethnicity, poverty, disability, language status, undocumented status, religious affiliation, gender identity, and sexual orientation, will have access to the opportunities, resources, and support they need to imagine, nurture, and achieve their dreams. Let us break this down, regardless of race. My example here is qualifying for the gifted program. If you are Caucasian and of median income, the rules for qualifying under Plan A, basically a gifted checklist and an IQ score of 130 or higher. If you are not Caucasian and not of median income, the rules for you are the same, but they're Plan B, and your score only has to be 112. Regardless of disability, my example here is a personal one, as I have worked in ESE for 20 years as an occupational therapy assistant and have seen many inequalities for children with disabilities. They have been left out on so many levels: school field trips, school plays, inaccessible playgrounds, lack of scholarship and sport opportunities. Nonverbal students literally have no voice to express even a simple yes or no in any format. Regardless of gender, my example here is one question. Do we offer every sport for every gender? Regardless of sexual orientation. My example here is another question. Sexual orientation. Why are we giving equity based on sexual orientation to children ages 3 to 18 who are in school to learn how to read, write, and do arithmetic? Why is sexual orientation something we need to give equity to? I mean, sexual orientation is defined as a person's sexual preference. And as we navigate educating our children amidst social media, a rapidly changing society, a lack of anything close to normal this last year, soaring human trafficking, and a billion-dollar child pornography industry, why in God's name would we even put that language in a public school statement of any kind? Sexual orientation by law in Palm Beach County, where I might remind everyone that Jeffrey Epstein was arrested for sexual crimes against our children of Palm Beach County. It is a crime for any child under the age of 18 to legally consent to sexual activity. Again, let me ask, why are we talking about sexual preferences as it is related to public school education, servicing children, all of whom are under the age of legal consent? It is one thing to come up with statements, policies, procedures, and plans. It is a whole other thing to actually implement them and follow them. And I personally feel we need less statements, policies, procedures, and plans. We need to be kind humans that help all children read, write, and learn arithmetic, because this is school. Woo!
not sure if that was Catherine Camino or Beverly Becker. She didn't state her name. So Beverly Becker, if you haven't spoken, come up to the podium. If you were Catherine Camino and you haven't spoken, please come up. Seeing neither one of you, we'll call three more. Alana Moneth, Edward Delezo, and Greg Labad.
Hello.
Good, ma'am.
Hi. Good afternoon. My name is Alana Moneth. Do not mistake our past silence for acquiesce. You were voted and entrusted to speak on behalf of the people, our children, but it is clear you are not fulfilling your job duties and your oath of office. Last week's meeting, Mr. Barbieri said he had no idea what CRT was, critical race theory.
Oh my God.
Believe since you have been an elected official for the school board since 2008, where you served as chair and vice chair. An excerpt from Hillsdale College. There are a series of euphemisms deployed by its supporters to describe critical race theory, including equity, social justice, diversity and inclusion, and culturally responsive teaching. Critical race theorists, masters of language construction, realize that neo-Marxism would be a hard sell. Equity, on the other hand, sounds non-threatening and is easily confused with the American principle of equality. There you have it. Equity-embedded school system is not equality and community unity. This is programming, inciting division, and the loss of children's innocence. And here we are today to address the statement of the curriculum you are trying to shove down people's throats under the guise of repetitive, descriptive jargon used to placate people so they are confused by what seems to sound good, but don't have the common sense to question it. Governor DeSantis said last week, if you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. No matter what verbiage you use or change to make it more palatable for the public to agree, we know what this curriculum is all about. Look at the district organizational chart. The students, parents, and community of Palm Beach County are at top. Therefore, reiterating what the Florida Constitution states, Article 1, Section 1, all political power is inherent in the people. We, the people, decide and choose, not you. Yes. Florida Constitution 2.01 confirms Florida is a common law state. John Adams said, a constitution of government once changed from freedom can never be restored. Liberty once lost is lost forever. Martin Luther King Jr. said, I look to a day when people will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. This is what we want taught, not anti-Americanism, indoctrinating equity, CRT crap, and not programs funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It's time to play whack-a-mole. In Palm Beach County, Governor DeSantis, the time is now. I yield my time. Thank you.
Go ahead, sir. State your name.
Good afternoon. My name is Ed Dolezal, and I thank you, quite frankly, board, for awakening the spirit of we the people in this county. You have no idea what you have done, and I'm grateful for it. I'm here to object to the community, the CRT curriculum, the critical race curriculum. It is divisive and creates rancor, not cooperation and respect for one another. I demand you immediately drop and stop this indoctrination of our children. They're our children, not yours. I recommend you institute intense civics training based on the Bill of Rights and our constitutions. You may want to reread this. Next, I'd like to address Mr. Barbieri's arrogance for not recognizing that we the people allow you to serve with our consent, ours, not yours. And we can withdraw it at any time. Look at your organizational chart, by the way. The board reports to who? We the people, that's us. Also, I'm surprised to see Ms. Ayala at this meeting because it's apparently been revealed that she does not live in the district she says she represents. It's an effrontery that can't be tolerated. I urge the board to deal with this conflict and do it immediately. Lastly, drop indoctrination and return to education and civics. Oh, and by the way, as was said by the previous speaker, the governor is going to be addressing this whole critical race theory and will be very aggressive. I yield my time.
Mr. Chairman, point of information, please.
Go ahead, Ms. Ayala.
Could we please ask all speakers moving forward to refrain from clapping the rest of the meeting during speakers and after?
I don't think that's going to go over well with, as long as they keep order in the room while the speaker's walking up. I have no issue with them clapping as long as they're not hollering and carrying on. I don't know what's going on in that other room over there. The police officer needs to keep those people under control over there because it cuts out the microphone. Please take care of that. Go ahead, sir. State your name.
Before I start my speech, does anyone want to make any generalizations about me because of my skin color?
Let me ask you, sir, do you have a mask on?
Yes, I do. My name is Greg Labad, and I have 2 kids in Palm Beach County Elementary School. My wife is a Palm Beach County school teacher. It's definitely hard to muster the courage to speak today on such a sensitive topic. I'm worried about getting canceled. I'm worried about being labeled a racist. I'm not a racist. But I have to stand up to people like you who divide us and teach the victim mentality to our youth. There's more on this topic that unites us than separates us. I'm here today because I just don't understand how spending all this time and energy on these racist and divisive equity statement helped our children learn reading, writing, math, science, history, and critical thinking. We're seeing other similar racist messages appearing in other areas of school board approved documents. The Palm Beach County Gifted Endorsement Program has a line in it that says, white teachers and white children they teach need to understand their position of privilege and need to understand the challenges faced by those who are less privileged because of race, class, sexual orientation, and handicap conditions. Now you put this equity statement in opposition to systems of oppression and inequality and about white advantage. But there's one hilarious fault in your plan. Racism is defined as a belief that race is fundamental determinant of human traits and capacities and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. Therefore, the people who made this equity statement is a racist. Unless you change the definition of racism. The hilarious part is that if you read your biographies on the school board website, you quickly realize how hypocritical this whole thing is. All these people fighting for, justice and fighting this racist system. You are the system. All of you sitting up there, you are the system of oppression. You are the system of inequality, and you are the system of white advantage. And how do I know this? Because when you add up all your years of service, you guys have a combined 129 years of leadership in these so-called structures rooted in white advantage. That's you guys that made that decision. If you were concerned about the children's education, you would have held 2 months of workshops for Forest Hill Community High School, which ranks 11,447th in the nation. Maybe you should consider holding 2 months of workshops for Palm Beach Lakes High School and their 21% reading deficiency and 17% math proficiency. Maybe you should have spent 2 months deliberating a statement on how the entire school district of Palm Beach County only has 53% average reading proficiency and 47% average math proficiency. Maybe instead of putting a virtue signal statement out, you would focus on things like correcting or putting statements out about fatherless homes or single-parent households. I was raised to believe that we are all part of one race, the human race. I implore you to avoid bringing racist, divisive, neoliberal, Marxist political philosophy and victimhood mentality into this level of government. I implore you to focus your efforts on teaching the educational fundamentals that will help our kids on their journeys to becoming productive, patriotic members of society. We are one American family. We are one American family. We're not divided like you guys think. Thank you for your time, with all due respect.
Cindy Eldred, Laura Chapman, Amanda Lipke.
Hi, and thank you for letting us speak today. My name is Cindy Eldred, and I currently have 3 children attending school in the Palm Beach County School District, and a 4th pretty soon. I'm a former educator and have a family full of educators, both current and retired. I am a product of the Florida school system. I was an educator in the Florida public school system, and now I am experiencing Florida public education as a parent. A little over a week ago, as I read our school newsletter, I was alarmed by the wording of the equity statement. The school district of Palm Beach County is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage. I have beautiful Christian children that embody all that is good and right in our world. They are loving, kind, compassionate, respectful. They have good manners, morals, and values, and their teachers would all echo that sentiment. Recently, this divisive rhetoric has been spewed at them daily from all different outlets. My children will never be taught to be ashamed of or apologize for who they are based on their skin color, nor will they ever be taught to hate others because of theirs. After watching the May 19th board meeting, it was obvious to me that several of you questioned the viability of the equity statement as written. Many of you indicated at the meeting that you were unsure of the bold and divisive statement. You were aware that it would receive pushback from parents, yet you proceeded to publish it on the county website without any feedback from your constituents. The school system is not the place for some of you to further your political aspirations at the expense of our children. Who facilitated this equity statement? What facts were used to create this equity statement? Can you predict the outcomes that you believe will be achieved? Are they identifiable? Are they measurable? Will you challenge all the students to discover their best potential for fulfilling future, or just some? We need to make good decisions based on facts, not emotions or feeling. Who is accountable to explain all of the research and factual information that went into this statement? The board needs to be transparent and define the specific steps that will be taken to redistribute resources and provide equitable outcomes. How do you plan on identifying and quantifying these equitable outcomes? You, as members of the school board of Palm Beach County, are responsible for approximately 190,000 students in our schools. You're making decisions on behalf of all of our students, and we expect that no students will be discriminated against. Parents deserve to know to what structures would be dismantled and why you specifically chose the word white. There obviously are programs that you have in mind and have thoroughly researched in order to be so committed to dismantling them. I would ask that each of you clarify what you are referring to in writing and post it on the website just like you did this statement. The board's judgment is contradictory in its definition of equity, and every parent should be concerned with your policy-making decisions looking forward. You can change the statement, but you already have a predetermined agenda. Here in Palm Beach County, we're a very diverse community. All different nationalities and walks of life are living and working side by side. You guys have an important task to ensure that students of all
Ma'am, your
backgrounds
time is up.
will be successful. Your decisions have to be better because your decisions have consequences for all of our children.
My name's Amanda Lipke. I am really here to talk to the parents, guardians and students, the taxpayers, the true stakeholders in all of this, since you won't. We need to continue to rally. The governor is behind us, and more support means less funding for this mess and more funding going towards actual, tangible resources for our students and teachers. I think we all agree on the need for equality and the importance of advocating for all children. This is not equity. Equity is rooted in Marxism, and the mission statement is filled with the exact same jargon as other radical school districts like Beaverton, not focused on academic achievement, but rather social justice. If we focus solely on two words like white advantage, then we are missing the bigger picture here. Because if you take those words away, this board has still taken the leadership role on of creating a divisive and Marxist agenda for our kids. And even worse, in a year of a pandemic, they have taken an eye away from what should be the main focus and rather put that time, energy, and money towards CRT ideology, focusing on pushing indoctrination in schools by hiring a consultant from Washington State to work on this equity statement, holding multiple workshops at times that are not hard for us, that are very difficult for us as shareholders to attend, and also funding culturally responsive leadership training, which is their talk for CRT and is currently available on the Teachers Union website for teachers to take. The board has shown where their priorities lie. I am asking all parents to get involved. Please do your research at how crazy this stuff is. I know people say, here come the Karens, because we use the white word, or we're talking about white kids. I have a kindergartner and a wonderful teacher. My kid, my entire family, we are all white, black, and brown, all of different religions, backgrounds, gay and straight. We know who we are with open minds and hearts. We aren't afraid to have the tough conversations, as you say, and raise good kids, because raising my kid is my job. It is not yours. I am more angry that you are not doing your job. That is why I'm here. Quit spending my money on this crap. Get world-class resources to the children and teachers equally. Set them up for success. You have not even peaked at this job. I would like to thank Megan Bell for the stats that have perfectly outlined how you have not peaked at this job. Check the reading and writing percentages. You're focused on this memo, why kids struggle with reading and writing. Why are our high schools doing worse than Miami-Dade? This whole mess is led by adults seeking some sort of racial justice, and they're using our kids to get there. It is time for us to redirect focus and funding. Thank you.
After Laura Chapman, Jennifer Showalter, Jameson Sotolongo, and Allison Rampersad.
Laura Chapman. Good afternoon, board members and Dr. Fenoy. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I have heard that being on the school board can often be a thankless job, so I wanted to show my gratitude for the time and effort that you do put in. It's never easy, and certainly not easy now. But my reason here is to make a few comments about the equity statement, specifically the line about white advantage. I knew when reading that statement a few weeks ago that it would cause an uproar. I study language and communication, such as meaning through words, implied intent, as well as the misunderstandings between sender and receiver. Dismantling structures rooted in white advantage is an ambiguous phrase, perhaps purposely so. It confuses people, and when people become confused, especially when their children are involved, they become scared. And when people are scared, they become angry, as you saw last week. So I hope my comments today can possibly help you in the rewriting of this statement. For starters, ambiguity helps not one single person, not you as elected board members, not schools, not parents, and certainly not students. Be specific in your communication about new policy changes. For example, a school board in Virginia voted to eliminate advanced math for the sake of equity. Agree or disagree, at least it's specific. When you offer specifics, you allow parents to form a more educated decision on whether to enroll or disenroll their child from the public school system, and also who and who not to elect to the school board. Second, explain why you believe these changes need to take place. Why do you believe the school system of Palm Beach County is failing certain groups? What's gone wrong? And what about these structures? What does the word structure even mean in this context? Why is there white advantage in this county in the first place? Be specific. And this brings me to my last point. Rather than focusing the equity statement on those who you claim have white advantage, why not focus on building up the communities you want to help? Why tear down one group to help another? Is that what equity is? Why not simply focus on the people you believe need more help and more access, and tell us why? We want to help. Remember, please be specific. We're counting on you as elected officials. Thank you.
Again, before you start my clock, I've got a copy of my speech, and I'll make sure to email you it. And I also have some documentation on numbers for the county.
State your name, please.
Yes, I'm Jennifer Showalter.
Thank you.
You want to talk about white advantage. Tell that to my son back there, who had to be pulled from his critical educational instruction, made all the more so by his ESE issues, in order for us to be here, since you scheduled this right before parent pickup. I wish you could tell that to my West Virginia coal mining great-grandpa who died from black lung caused by coal dust. My father was the first of his family to attend college. He worked while studying, dropping out for a while to earn enough to go back, living off tomato sandwiches in an old trailer, growing up with hand-me-down clothes sewn by his granny. Privilege does not come with a color. Privilege is a false narrative. Success in life comes from regardless of whatever circumstance you are in. Excellence and achievement comes from a family and community involvement where work ethics and values like personal responsibility are instilled. We aren't living in 1863. We aren't living in 1963. We already have constitutional amendments and laws against racism. There are still problems yet to be overcome, but you are trying to deny over 60 years of substantial progress. Some of you spent decades on this board working in education up to 44 years. So if you're saying that there's this systematic illegal crisis needing to be eradicated, then that's all on you. Your assertion is correct. If your assertion is correct, you've allowed employees to act in a racist manner without termination. You created the policies, the procedures, and selected the curriculum. Where's the documented evidence that completed state investigations to validate your assertion of systematic white advantage and racism? Why can't the public access that data? Let's talk terms. Equity is not the equivalent of equality. Equity is a critical race theory term. Equality is providing everyone the same opportunity, receiving the same computers, solid curriculum, and proficient teachers. It frees us to use our talents and natural desire without restrictions, along with a strict work ethic to reach our potential. Equity, on the other hand, means everyone gets the same outcome whether they work hard or not, have talent or not. It's like a class getting assigned a test. Some study hard, while others go out and party. They take the test, the teacher comes back and says, everyone has a C. Equity is teaching to mediocrity. It is not teaching to excellence. This is to distract us from your fostered mediocre educational system. Our pre-COVID 2019 scores were only 53% county reading proficiency. Palm Beach Lakes High was at 21%. Worse, the county math proficiency was at 47%, with Boynton Beach Community at 16%, and a vomit-inducing college-ready index of 28 out of 100, with Palm Beach Lakes High at 9. So how much are we spending on our education again? A whopping $3.8 billion? Where's that money going? You're teaching emotions, but yet the children can't read or write. These numbers highlight our kids are struggling with basic proficiency. How about you stop focusing on our skin and instead encourage and foster mindsets directed at personal responsibility and work ethic? The real question the board should be asking, since you've been in charge of the whole system for decades, why can't our kids read or do math? Parents need to be asking, why are these people...
Time's up, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Why are you still on the board? Thank you.
Not until I see me.
Good, ma'am.
I'm waiting for everybody's attention first, please. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Jamison Sotolongo, mother of 2 biracial children in the Palm Beach County School District. As school board members, you swore to uphold the Constitution in your application along with the state of Florida.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Pull your mask up, please.
Can I get my time started again? I'll start over.
And pull the microphone up so we can hear you. Mark, restart her time.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Jamison Sotolongo, mother of 2 biracial children. As school board members, you swore to uphold the Constitution in your application along with the state of Florida. That means we, the people, are supposed to be considered one nation under God with equal rights for all. I sat and listened to your board meeting on 4/14. Ms. Whitfield and Ms. Quinn, you both really seem to like the word embrace being part of the mission statement. I hope you'll embrace what I'm about to say with as much compassion and intention. My 6th grade daughter came home with a permission slip to watch the movie The Giver on Friday. Being that this is a board-approved book, I assume that you've all read it and know it well. When I spoke to her principal, he advised me that he had never seen the movie but approved its viewing because the board approved the book. I considered myself to be an informed and involved parent until Friday. I was unaware that my daughter was reading this book because it wasn't allowed to go home with her. For those that don't know, this movie is about a utopian society where the past was erased from everyone's memory. Sounds like the current cancel culture we live in to me. Obedience is demanded by the elite. The elite tell them what to wear, eat, sleep, play, and what job they will have. Women being forced to have babies only to have them taken away, raised by others. They murder infants by lethal injection through the brain if they don't thrive to their standards. War scenes with blood, body parts flying, mandatory daily vaccines to numb the independent thinking and feelings such as love, joy, sadness. It's what they determined samenism. Climate control, a reason they claim to implement the utopian city. Do you think this sounds good so far? Don't be so quick to say no, because in the book, they'll murder you for not following the rules. Head of the elite stated at the end of this book, people are weak. When people have the freedom to choose, they choose wrong every time. Any of this sound familiar with what we're experiencing today? How is this embracing our children? How is this nurturing them to achieve their dreams? One kid saves the entire population and shows them the truth. Only in this real life situation, it's the parents waking up all at once and fighting back.
Mask, Mom.
The permission slip said it's to compare and contrast plot elements in the theme in novel and film. Wouldn't the movie and book Wonder be better suited for teaching equality? You can rename critical race theory by calling it equity, but we parents see through this. We should be teaching our children how to build them up, not how to divide them with your rhetoric. You've allowed brain pop into our schools already, and it's disgusting. I'm not sure what else you have up your sleeves, but know that we parents are woke and won't stand for it. If you haven't heard yet, we're coming after your seats via recalls and voting you out, so don't get too comfortable up there. You're creating division, not equality, which makes you a racist if you support this. Shame on all of you.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Good afternoon. I'm Allison Rampersad, PhD, 30 years plus educator in college, business, and technology in Palm Beach County. Critical race theory, that's what we're talking about. Not about history, not civics, not culture, not education. It's not even about learning, literacy, or skills development. It's pure Marxism. It's divide and conquer, it's rewriting our history, and it's unacceptable for our children. It's based in lies. Everybody knows that the United States didn't exist in 1619. It's undermining our children's future with indoctrination. It's dividing our country's citizenry. I could go on. Now, your mission statement on your website to educate, affirm, and inspire each student. What does that even mean? 3 minutes doesn't give it justice, but I'll do my best. Let's start with educate. English, math, sex ed, history, pornography, usual stuff. Oh, my bad, I forgot global warming. Our children are force-fed misinformation daily. Carbon dioxide, it's bad, it's harming the environment, it's killing the planet. Biology teachers, where are you? Humans need oxygen to live. We breathe out the carbon dioxide. The trees, the plants take the carbon dioxide, convert it back to oxygen. Hey, oh, wait a minute. The children are being forced to breathe in carbon dioxide while wearing a mask for 6 to 7 hours daily. So what? It's okay for the kids, but it's not okay for the planet? What kind of science is that? Next, affirm. What's being affirmed? You're black, you're white, you're Hispanic, and your point is? Mission statement says each student. Doesn't say black, white, brown, just students. Oh, and parents, we'd rather that you didn't know exactly what we're teaching your kids. Will the real racists please stand up? Okay, on to inspire. Let's encourage the children by telling them they're victims, oppressors, good guys, bad guys, toxic, non-binary. You live in a racist country. Based on the color of your skin, you're never going to get ahead because, well, somebody's great-great-grandfather had slaves and we got to have reparations. How the hell does that motivate anybody? What are you people doing? Please look at the organizational chart that I provided for you. Ever seen it? Who's on top? It's not you. Students, parents, the community, that's who you work for. I suggest you educate yourselves in critical race theory. It's going to set race relations in this country back 100 years. Bottom line, this is not education. It's an agenda based on hatred, skin color, and control. Children should be pulled out of any school that attempts to teach this crap. Kids are not born hating. They are taught to hate. You can change that. Stand and deliver for our children. No critical race theory in our schools.
Angela Salvatore, David DiCrescenzo, Jonathan Lauren. Ladies and gentlemen in this room, just understand one thing about the mask. There are people that came here today that are afraid to come to the building without everybody having masks on. That's why we're requiring masks in this room. If you don't want to wear your mask, we made arrangements for you to go to the room next door where you can certainly take your mask off. But please keep in mind there are people in this room that are afraid to sit next to you if you don't have your mask on, or have you come up and speak at the dais without the mask on. So please keep that in mind when we're telling you to put your mask on. State your name for the record when you come up there, sir, and go ahead.
My name's Jonathan Lauren. I'm a parent of a 5-year-old in Palm Beach County. The only way to get heard in today's social media-fueled society is to be offended. Apparently, being offended somehow elevates the concerns of the offended to a higher priority status. Well, the day has come where I believe the grievance I have with the school board is so dire that I'm going to utter this phrase: I am offended. I am offended that our 5-year-old son is being subjected to a learning environment that is less concerned with his ability to read, write, and reason, but rather understand skin color and gender identity are what defines a person. I am offended that because of my son's skin color, he is assumed advantaged. Therefore, resources for his education will be diverted to others deemed more deserving based on which checked box the school board deems more worthy. I am offended that the school board is so drunk with power that they believe they no longer need to hide their overt racist ideology. Children are not racist beings. It is taught to them by those in authority. But it is a parent, teacher, be it a parent, teacher, family member, or in this case, the Palm Beach County School Board. The idea that someone is different than others based solely on the color of their skin is racist. This is what I teach my child, and I expect the people I entrust with my son's education to be teaching this as well. I am all for children having a fair shot at getting equal opportunity and becoming a productive member of society. This cannot, however, come at the expense of my or any other children's opportunity. I will not sit back and watch as my son is tossed aside and deemed less worthy for the educational resources for which my wife and I pay, simply because he's checked the wrong box in the eyes of some bureaucrat. This is wrong, and the board knows it. This is why they have already backpedaling as we speak. It's too late. The cat is out of the bag. Your stance has been well established. You can change your phraseology in your mission statement. It will not change the fact that this board has disdain for one skin color over the others. Our only recourse is to vote every one of you out of your position on this board, lest we raise a generation of victims and children that are defined by racial lines. Make no mistake, we are more than ready to do so at our first opportunity. The board's stance, beliefs, and behaviors are disgusting, and we should never be tolerated, period. With an annual budget of $3.8 billion, every child should have more than enough resources to learn what is paramount to getting a basic education: reading, writing, and arithmetic. At what cost is your retribution?
Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is David DiCrescenzo. I stand before you today in this room of maskless people, which, by the way, all of you and people like you around the country created this mess. But anyway, I stand before you today as a concerned citizen and as a former candidate to sit on the very board that I am now addressing. Now, I was not successful in my bid to be on that board, but I had an agenda then, and I have an agenda now. And it should be your agenda. And that agenda is really simply this. Everybody sitting in this room, the parents and students of Palm Beach County The parents and students around Florida and around our nation, you guys are dropping the ball with this kind of nonsense. You talk about inequity, you talk about white privilege. Please explain to Alan West and Dr. Ben Carson and Thomas Sowell and Candace Owens and so many other successful black people who didn't have so-called white privilege. They got off their butts and they made something of themselves because they're talented, they're intelligent, and they don't have to be told that they can't get ahead because of the color of their skin. This nonsense around America and around the world, really, it has to stop. And it's going to start right here in Palm Beach County because you guys are on notice. Some of you are going to get elected out. I believe that some of you, by legal method, are going to find yourselves on the outside looking in really soon. Every one of you, as people have said already, should be ashamed of yourselves. And I do want to address something that one of the first speakers said. She said, she referred to us, me and the people in this room, and most of the people in your room and around the country, crazed, angry parents. Well, you know what? None of us are crazy, because I think you guys are crazy for the shit you're doing. Excuse my French. But we're angry, and we got a right to be angry, because you guys are messing with our children. Parents have a right to decide how their children are going to be taught and what they're going to be taught. This liberal nonsense must come to an end. Yes. And that's all I really have to say. I'm going to because I'm going to get angry, and I don't want to do that, and it's not for anybody that's listening, but I will just say this. I am very angry, and I know most of these people are, and we have a right to be. And you guys are going to get the brunt of that. Have a nice...
After this lady, Reverend Paul King, Patsy Davis, and Jordan Smith. Go ahead, ma'am.
My name is Angela Salvatore. I'm here to give a voice to those who are opposing the new agenda of critical race theory, now changed to equity. Learning about this, I could not believe the subject in this agenda was about. First off, teachers have no role in teaching children's sexual preference. Secondly, I was horrified to learn that you want to teach our children that our white kids have advantages and are inherently racist. As you call it, white privilege. Our kids of all ages have a hard enough time feeling confident about themselves, and now you want to segregate our white children and tell them they are racist. Your program wants to classify, divide our children, and we are not going to allow our children to be treated this way. I cannot believe the very people who are serving the board and our children's interests are even implementing such a program. This idea will not only teach our children to hate one another, it also will teach our children to see capitalism as a bad idea and to teach our children to welcome in socialism. You want a program to change history and teach our children to hate our country and to focus only on the worst of America, how it was founded. Your idea is to overthrow the capitalist class and bring in a socialistic society. This Marxism and this idea is aimed at brainwashing our children to destroy our country, and I'm here to let you know that we as taxpayers will not pay for your Marxism, socialistic, and racist program. This is not the solution, and we will not sit idly by. We can agree that there is work to be done on having equality for all, to learn from past inexcusable actions, and more can be done to help all children. Just a few ideas would be better busing or better choice programs for all families. But your solution is not what the community wants. It is shocking in how the board, with the exception of Mrs. Sanders, has ignored the voices of the parents and rule in your own personal opinions and political agendas. The community you continue to ignore pay for these seats and have the privilege to serve, not rule. In closing, I need to say to the board who think that our schools are biased and only serve privileged children, so that you're implementing this new agenda to better serve those who are unjustly treated. But why should we trust you with another new agenda? This progressive liberal ideology has plagued our school system long enough. You need to take responsibility that our problems we are facing are an outcome of this one-sided progressive and liberal control and has gone on for decades. It's time that our parents take back our schools and demand that our children once again understand and are taught the Constitution and to learn about America's core value. We need leaders who represent every child based on race, color, religion, gender, sexual preference, identity, disability, national origin, and every background so that all children will have the chance at the American dream. Lastly, remove our masks from our children now. Stop the abuse.
Your time's up, ma'am.
And Governor
Your time's
DeSantis,
up, ma'am. Your
Governor
time's up.
DeSantis, we need
Reverend Paul King, Patsy Davis, and Jordan Smith.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Kane, and I'm here in support of the equity statement as it is currently written. First and foremost, I want to thank you for your service to the children, to the families, and to the wider community here in Palm Beach County. I serve as rector of St. Paul's Episcopal Church and Day School in Delray Beach. We have an after-school program that just celebrated its 21st anniversary with 32 Haitian American children enrolled, a program in which they receive dinner and tutoring and many other resources to help them flourish. I also serve as the Dean of the South Palm Beach Deanery of the Episcopal Diocese of Southeast Florida, in which we have 10 churches and 3 schools. I am a member of the Executive Board of the Diocese of Southeast Florida. I'm also a member of the South Palm Beach Deanery's Committee for Racial Healing and Congregational Histories. I've served as a pastor here in South Florida for over 25 years, and on a personal note, I am the father of a Palm Beach County Public School graduate. I'd like to share this statement from Bishop Peter Eaton, who is the Bishop of the Episcopal Church in Southeast Florida. And this statement is on the wording of the equity statement of the Palm Beach County School Board. The Episcopal Church, under whose oversight there are 19 schools in Southeast Florida, including Palm Beach County, is very sensitive to the reality that we are living in very challenging times in which we are managing a great deal of change. The last 15 months have caused us all to re-examine how we live together, how we relate to one another, and the values by which we want to live. The challenges of COVID have placed unwanted but necessary restrictions on our lives, and only recently, due to the vaccine, we are beginning to see a return to normal lifestyles where some restrictions can be lifted. At the same time, we have had to face the social reality that the killing of George Floyd has brought so sharply into focus, and the need to face the reality of who we are as a people and as a nation. There is no return to pre-pandemic world, either when it comes to COVID or when it comes to racism in our society. We cannot return to a worldview that denies the truth about who we have been as a nation and who we are as a people. We must continue to review our history and seek ways to bind up the wounds that exist between us as fellow citizens who share a common heritage of freedom, equality, and justice.
Reverend King, your time is up.
Thank you. And I'm sure my congregation would love one of those timers for my sermon.
Jordan Smith for the record. Board Chair, board members, and my district's representative Ayala, I stand here in support for the document in its current format. Thank you all for the hard work that you do every day in caring for our near 190,000 students. And I can't imagine the stress and sleepless nights you have all navigated this year as you have guided our students through COVID and through the renewed conversations about race in our country. I have lived and worked in Palm Beach County in District 2 since immigrating here from Scotland in 2015. I work as a pastor and as a community activist, and I see the needs of our community firsthand. I am part of the Organize Against Racism Coalition, who you've heard from some of my colleagues today. I commend you for your bravery in including powerful anti-racist language in your report. The school district, as we have heard, states its mission is to educate, affirm, and inspire each student in an equity-embedded school system. For this to happen, students need to be seen and affirmed as beautiful and gifted just as they are, and acknowledges all the things that they bring into the classroom with them. How can we purport to provide our students with first-class education, preparing them for the world, if we continue to enclose a hierarchical system and a system that distorts history? We must acknowledge where equity gaps exist and call them what they are: the consequences of generations of targeted racist policy that disenfranchises students of color, as it did to their parents and to their grandparents. White Advantage frames this history in a way that acknowledges this. Just because it is uncomfortable and we get pushback doesn't mean it is not worth doing. To concede would be a gesture of deference to those who would ban any form of education that is remotely critical of history or of our story as a nation. We have to commit to being honest about our past and our present in order to recognize the dignity and worth of all students, so that we may build a better tomorrow for our children and for our country. Board members, thank you all for the work you do every day and the time that you give to our county's children. I ask you to keep the original language of the statement as it is written.
My name is Patsy Davis. I have 5 kids. 3 have already gone through the school system. 2 are still in the Palm Beach County school system. Since we are here discussing the equity statement, I feel like we should probably look at the definition of some of these words we're talking about. Equity means being fair and impartial. Okay? So impartial means that you're going to treat everyone equally. Okay? Well, equal means the same. So a true equity statement means that we should be treating everyone the same. But you've not really written an equity statement because you're talking about treating children differently based on their color. All this talk of dismantling structures, transforming our system, sharing power, redistributing resources, providing equitable outcome, that's all a political agenda, and it has no place in our schools. You're teaching our children to look at social and cultural issues through a lens of race and ethnicity, as opposed to a lens of hard work, of opportunity. They won't have equal outcomes. They can't have equal outcomes. They're not exactly the same person with exactly the same strengths, weaknesses, or interests. So they won't have the same outcomes. They should have the same opportunity to try to achieve those outcomes that they desire. We should be teaching our children to strive for excellence, not teaching them that they can't achieve excellence because of the color of their skin, or conversely, that all their hard work had nothing to do with what they've achieved because it was just given to them. I'm all for equal opportunity, but you don't punish and demean one group of children, give to another, and then expect any of those children to ever actually try to work hard or be the best that they can be. You're pushing our children towards segregation, where we treat them as part of a preset group instead of as an individual. And that's exactly how they should be treated, as an individual. You're teaching them to judge someone based solely on the color of their skin. You're asking our children to call each other out and reject each other based on the color of their skin. We need to be uniting our children and not dividing them. We need to teach them to look beyond the color of someone's skin and see the person inside. You want my daughter to consider herself an oppressor of one of her best friends just because that friend happens to have a different skin color than her? Or worse, you want her friend to think she can't accomplish anything on her own or with her own hard work because my daughter has oppressed her. It's absolute garbage, and it is so hurtful to all of our children. Our children are a multitude of colors. They are all part of the same human race and need to learn to love each other and help each other. Let them work together. Let them encourage and strengthen each other. Stop trying to divide them and tear them apart.
Jennifer Coleman, Blake Hanley, Richard Vasilati.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to be heard today and for all that you do for children and families in Palm Beach County. My name is Jennifer Coleman. I'm a white mother of 2 white daughters. One is an 8th grader at Independence Middle School. My other daughter is a sophomore at William T. Dwyer High School. I live in Palm Beach Gardens, represented by Barbara McQuinn in District 1. Let me start by sharing I am in support of the board's equity statement in its entirety, inclusive of the language white advantage. My husband and I believe, and my daughters who approved this statement, that it is of particular importance to make visible the unequal experiences families of color face in all of our systems, including the education system. Using words like white advantage are critical to achieving the goals in the equity statement. All students reach personal and academic success. White advantage may be difficult for white people to hear at first, which we've heard today. It was for me, but when I truly tried to understand its meaning, I realized the truth of my advantages. Peggy McIntosh's Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack lists experiences that reflect white advantage. And unfortunately, my Black and brown coworkers, friends, acquaintances cannot count on most of these conditions. My white skin affords me these same advantages. Like, if I should need to move, I can be pretty sure of renting or purchasing housing in an area that I can afford and I would want to live. And I can be pretty sure that my neighbors will be neutral or pleasant to me. I can go shopping alone most of the time, pretty well assured that I won't be followed or harassed. When I'm told about our national heritage or about civilization, I am shown that people of my color made it what it is. I can be sure that my children will be given curricular materials that testify to the existence of their race. Whether I use checks, credits, or cash, I can count on my skin color not to work against the appearance of financial reliability. I can arrange to protect my children most of the time from people who might not like them. I can swear, or I can dress in secondhand clothes, or not answer letters without having to attribute these choices to the bad morals, the poverty, or the illiteracy of my race. I can speak in public today to a powerful group without putting my race on trial. I can do well in a challenging situation without being called a credit to my race. I am never asked to speak for all of the people of my racial group. I can criticize our government and talk about how much I fear its policies and behavior without being seen as a cultural outsider. I can be pretty sure that if I ask to talk to the person in charge, I'll be facing a person of my race. If a traffic cop pulls me over, or if the IRS audits my tax return, I can be sure I haven't been singled out because of my race. I can take a job with an affirmative action employer without having coworkers on the job suspect that I got it because of my race. So I respectfully request the board to keep the equity statement as it is currently written so that we can move towards a just future for all of our children in Palm Beach County.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Blake Hanley. I am an attorney, member of Organizing Against Racism Palm Beach County, and I am here as a new parent of a 1-year-old child who we would like to attend Palm Beach school system in District 4. I would like to applaud the board's equity statement as originally written, including the phrase, "The board is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage." I thank you for your courage in writing this. You all knew you would face backlash as a result of writing this, but you stood on the side of truth and on the side of all of our children. The term white advantage acknowledges the problem. As the board is aware, the national and local research and data time and time again show disparities by race in almost every area of life, including our educational system, where we consistently see far better results for those who are white like myself. White people of goodwill may think acknowledging this fact itself is divisive, and speaking about the truth often is. but I believe we must acknowledge the fact of white advantage in order to end systemic racism in our schools and do better for Black and brown students. Furthermore, white advantage does not mean that we white people do not have any disadvantages. It just means that white people are not disadvantaged by their race. And we must be able to talk about race. We must acknowledge the past and the realities of our present in order to create a new future for all of our children. I ask you keep the original language as written. Thank you.
Dr. Richard Vassalotti, Michelle Gross, Emmy Kenny, and Karen Holm.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Emmy Kenny, and I serve on the district's Diversity and Equity Committee on behalf of the Palm Beach County Human Rights Council. I also taught in the district for a few years, and I was a student in the district as well, so I care about it deeply. And I'm here to weigh in on this issue because that's what the Diversity and Equity Committee is for, to weigh in on issues exactly like this. And I am urging you to stand by the statement that you carefully wrote and passed. So I'm not going to stand here and try to prove to you that racism or white advantage is real, because you know that it is, and I'm not here to convince any parents of anything, because I think that would take longer than 3 minutes. But I am here to remind you of this. Working towards equity is never easy. There will always be resistance. When school boards desegregated schools in the 60s, there were a lot of angry parents who did not want that to happen. Luckily, that didn't stop that from happening. And we're at a moment in history where we are pushing towards equity, and there will be resistance, but you didn't put out this statement because someone said it was going to be easy. You did it because it's the right thing to do. So you have the facts, you have the stats that show you that there are major inequities in this district, and I applaud you for taking those head on. And I would just like to echo what other people have said, where the language in this equity statement is not creating division because the division is already there. The division is just being named, and that's tough. When we have to confront racism, when we have to confront these difficult truths about our society, it makes us scared, it makes us have to reckon things within ourselves, and that's not easy to do. So, this is your first test of many. The decision you make today is going to send a message to all of the teachers, your staff, your students, and their families. It's either going to say that you take this equity statement seriously and you're willing to make the difficult choices to make those words actions and make real change happen. Or you can send the message that you don't really, it's another empty promise, that you are willing to bend to the will of a few angry parents rather than stand up for the thousands of students of color who need you to stand up for them. You can't fix a problem if you don't name it first. So that's why this is important. And I think that if you go back to the facts that led you to make this statement in the first place, you'll pass this test with flying colors. Thank you.
Richard Vassalotti. About me, for 30 years, I wore an American flag on my sleeve and a badge on my chest, risking my life to serve all races. I did it equally, fairly, and without prejudice. Now, I believe there is much confusion between these terms of equality and equity. NACE, the National Association of College and Employers, says the term equality means providing the same to all. Equity means recognizing that we do not all start from the same place and must acknowledge and make adjustments to imbalances. It's obvious that we do not all start from the same place, but it's how we start and which path we choose to live our life on, and this begins in the home. School district defines equity as each student, regardless of race, ethnicity, poverty, gender, etc., will have access to the opportunities, resources, and support they need to imagine, nurture, and achieve their dreams. That actually sounds like an equality definition, not an equity definition, as I mentioned previously. An excerpt from the equity statement states the school district is committed to dismantling racism, and I truly believe that every single person wholeheartedly in this room and abroad agrees with that statement or against racism. The next paragraph states achieving racial equity requires proactive and continuous investment in historically marginalized groups who have endured centuries of systemic oppression. The district is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage. So your first paragraph really sounds like equality. Your second paragraph is committed to dismantling racism. Then your third paragraph goes full-blown racism, blaming white people for the shortcomings of others. You have called for the dismantling of structures rooted in white advantage. Does this mean you want me to dismantle my children for busting their butts to be the best they can be? Do you want my children to stop earning the multitude of awards they receive each year? Would you feel better if my children acted out and got suspended and lowered their grades just so you can alter the numbers in your PowerPoint for today's agenda? No one will ever dismantle the way my family is, the way they are raised, the kindness and support my children show and give to all of their peers of all races, and no one will ever dismantle my children's spirit. This board, bringing the term white advantage into why some students excel over others, is racist, divisive, ugly, and frankly, every board member should be utterly embarrassed to deploy such a statement. Not every white person has an advantage, not every black or brown person has a disadvantage, and racism does come in all colors. Racism in Palm Beach County should be dealt with on a case-by-case basis, not a blanket statement blaming white people. CBS 12 also reported the other day this board's intent to close the achievement gap. What exactly does that mean? It means suppressing those that excel in an attempt to boost others. Your equity statement is a goal this board wishes to achieve. However, goals are to be realistic and attainable, and I truly believe that this board, deep down inside, knows that this is not an attainable goal. Thank you.
Good job.
State your name, please.
Hi, I'm Karen Holm. I would like to remind everybody that the school district uses what they call school-wide positive behavior support. Per the district, PBS is a proven research and evidence-based method to have students behave in a way that is conducive to learning by emphasizing positive behaviors and de-emphasizing negative behaviors. The district has been using this system for years and years. It says, quote, promotes fairness, civility, acceptance of diversity, as well as mutual respect. Your latest equity statement, however, is in direct conflict with PBS. To illustrate your positive system, I'd like to tell you a story. My boys were about 2 and 4 years old when we went to play in the kiddie area at the Wellington Green. My boys were running and climbing all over the play structures and interacting with the other children. They were of all different colors, black, brown, and white. Then I saw the black woman who was sitting next to me take out a bottle of soda pop. Her kids stood in front of her and pursed their lips in the air as she gave them all sips of soda pop. My son stood right next to her children and he pursed his lips too, waiting for his turn. It was absolutely adorable. There was this tiny black brown-skinned boy with long black curls and my kids standing there as white as whipped cream and pin-straight blonde hair, standing next to each other with their tiny lips pursed, waiting for soda pop. My son didn't see color. He didn't see a black mom. He saw a nice lady giving soda pop. It occurred to me at that moment that I had never taught him to see color. I taught him to say nice words, not hit his brother, take turns, play nice with others. I taught him character. When he got into the Palm Beach County schools, I still did not teach him to see color. I emphasized character. I'm pretty sure that you didn't teach him to see color either. He brought home all sorts of friends from school that were all different colors. My boys are adults now, and they have black friends, Jamaican friends, Mexican friends, gay friends, straight friends, bi friends. They were never taught to see color because they only see character. At home, they were taught how to interact with all others. At your school, your teachers promoted this positive behavior. It was for everybody. PBS is positive behavior support for everybody. Your policy of using PBS promotes fairness, civility, acceptance of diversity, as well as mutual respect. I encourage you all to keep it this way and continue to help raise kids like mine.
After the next lady speaks, Angelique Contreras, Jessel Moreno, and Amanda Jested. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Angelique Contreras, and I'm a proud American of Cuban and European descent. We have a race crisis that has been created in the minds of people only by the mainstream media and a few powerful yet feckless leaders in our government who must create a crisis to fix, as one does not exist in today's present day. Our kids should be learning about math, science, language arts, history, and geography. Among other things, kids should just be kids. They are really easily influenced in schools, and critical race theory, in essence, teaches them this country was founded on racism and that our whole system was based on racism. This is leading them to believe that they can't be more than the color of their skin in society. My question to you is, what structures in Palm Beach County were rooted in white advantage? Where is your data that shows this to be fact? The answer is you have not shown us the data to support white advantage exists in Palm Beach County. Your statement that there is white advantage is in fact racist. What you are doing as a board is putting politics over our children's education. You are risking the necessary federal funding that is required for our children to get the proper education they need to succeed by pushing this agenda. In 2020, this board forced children to stay home and deprive them of in-person learning. In doing so, you are the only ones to blame for their decline in academics, not racial inequality. A part of critical race theory shows how race has been used as a tool for those in power to stay in power and make money. If that is correct, that also applies to you, Dr. Fenoy, and every member of this board. Critical race theory reveals how race has been used as a tool to create and exert power in ways that affects everyone of all races, economically and politically. It exposes those who have used race as a tool for their own political and economic gain. What you are doing by highlighting this and pushing it on our children is solely to show your abuse of power and position as superintendent and as school board members. Your focus must be on our kids and their education, not the color of their skin and dividing them. And I'll leave you with this passage found in the Bible. It is better to be a poor but wise youth than an old and foolish king who refuses all advice.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Good afternoon. I'm Michelle Gross. I'm a parent living in District 5 with a daughter who graduated from Dreyfus and a son who is currently a junior at Spanish River. As a white mom with white children, I'm here in support of keeping the language in the carefully developed equity statement as is, including and especially the words white advantage. I want to express my gratitude for the work you do on behalf of every child in the district. As our school board members, you have a tremendous responsibility to expose our children to more than academic learning. You set the stage in modeling values that create a better, more humane world for all of us, promoting lifelong critical thinking and learning skills. Your dedication is clear. Until a few years ago, I wouldn't have thought to define myself as white. That's because of white advantage. I don't have to think about my race or my children's. The world we live in was created with white people at the table, white people represented in preschool picture books, white people making decisions about curriculum, in a system created long ago to educate white children. If we don't take specific steps to right this injustice, then we're not creating strong examples of learning from our past for our children. Speaking here today is completely out of my comfort zone. And that discomfort is okay, because the alternative is far worse. The alternative is demonstrating acceptance of our current reality that continues to ignore white advantage and perpetuates racist systems. I often question myself as a parent. What can I do better? What should I have done differently? Last night, I celebrated a win. And because I saw hope in a better future through the eyes of my kids, I knew I needed to use my own voice and be here today. They each posted on their social media support for continued anti-racism work on the day we celebrated the life of George Floyd 1 year after his murder. Let's all be real. Let's advocate for our younger generations, be role models, and face the unjustness of our current systems. Let's stay strong, grow and learn as a community, confront white advantage, and work to change. Thank you.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Good afternoon, board and superintendent. My name is Amanda Jested. I am an attorney and I am a mother. I have 2 children in Palm Beach County Public Schools, and I'm here to speak with my strong support of the school board's equity statement as written, including the statement that the school board intends to work to the goal of dismantling structures rooted in white advantage. Recognizing structural white advantage is imperative to achieve equity, and it is not a moral condemnation of white people, as some has suggested, or of white students, nor does recognize it create divides along lines of race. To the contrary, it should unite us. There is a concept of white advantage that I think the board, educators, and fellow parents might benefit from considering. I know I have as a white parent of white children. Imagine if you could ask a fish swimming along in our beautiful ocean, "How is the water, fish?" If fish could talk, I imagine the fish would say, "What is water?" The fish swimming along with no reason to notice the water it moves through. Structures rooted in white advantage are the water. For those of us who are white, who are like fish in water, like my children, it is not obvious or even apparent to us that we are swimming through water. But that water is full of toxins and dangerous currents, overt racism, implicit bias, structural inequities. If we don't examine them and just keep swimming, oblivious to the water quality, we do a great disservice to all students. These things cannot be ignored by the people who they impact, and I would argue that they are toxic to all of us. Only white parents have the luxury of choosing not to talk to white children, like my children, about these toxins and dangers in the water. People of color have always had to talk to their children about racism and structural inequities from a young age. White parents have chosen, I think in some instances without malice, to teach their kids to be colorblind, and many parents have advocated that idea today. It sounds beautiful, but it's not, because it rests on structural inequities that treat white as the default. It erases the feelings, experiences, and concerns of children who are not white. We want race to not matter. But the unfortunate reality is that the inequities are all around us. The water is not going to clear up by ignoring it. That is why it is necessary, rather than harmful, to acknowledge structures of white advantage in the equity statement and stay committed to dismantling them. Thank you all so much for your time, your service, and your thoughtful consideration.
Mariana Blanco, Peter Green, Desiree Miranda, and Ms. Moreno, if you're still here. Moreno? Go ahead, Mr. Moreno.
Hello, my name is Jessel Moreno. I am an alumni of Palm Beach County Schools. My father worked there for about 10 years as a janitor. I came from Cuba. When I was about under 1 year old, I know all the struggles. And I know that other people here have said that they've known struggles, so that means basically that white advantage doesn't exist. That's not the case. It takes a lot of introspection and courage to admit that you do have an advantage, and what are you gonna do about it? That's the next step. That's very hard, and a lot of people are scared, and I understand that, but don't you be scared by their empty threats. And a lot of their talking points really doesn't make much sense to me, bringing in Marxism and things that have nothing to do with this specific topic. I am in support of keeping the statement as is, specifically with the word white privilege. Another thing I did not like that some people have said, I love that you guys included gender identity and sexual orientation. I am gay. I went through bullying in Palm Beach County schools. I know how important that is. They took a shot at it as much as they could on 3 or 4 comments. Those parents don't care about students in Palm Beach County. They don't care about all of them. They only care about theirs and theirs being taught the way that they want them to be taught so that they can perpetuate all their hate. Please don't be swayed by any of those comments. Please understand that we need you to stand strong. We need you to please continue on in your mission for equity, because without you, we can't do it alone. We cannot. I'm glad that you put it out, and now is not the time to backpedal. Now is the time to push forward. If all of these parents, students were actually here to speak for themselves, I don't believe that they would share all the same views. So therefore, you need to really, I plead with you to please stay on this track to continue with this statement, not make any changes. Everything that is in here is very progressive, and I know it's a bit scary, but this is the future of Palm Beach County. Palm Beach County is diverse. It has a lot of different ethnicities, including Cuban Americans, and I think that we all deserve a chance at equity, and a lot of people are not afforded that. As you can see by the graphs, by the data that they posted, the scales are tipped in the wrong direction, basically. So please be strong. Please keep it the way it is. Thank you so much for all that you do.
Hey, please stop. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Mari Blanco, and I am the Assistant Director at the Guatemala Maya Center. I became involved with the Escuelita Maya when I was 15 years old, and quickly learned that there was a gap between the community and the systems in place that serve our community. Suseli, 16 years old, from Guatemala, a recent arrival who fled from domestic violence and poverty to reunite with her dad, is now a member of our community, facing struggles that the majority of us can't even fathom. As a 16-year-old, she should be focused on applying to colleges, finding a dress for prom. Yet her worries are finding a job to pay her debt in Guatemala so the gangs don't murder her family, and to fix her immigration case in order to stay with her dad and be reunited. She's a bright child who is behind because she's in a foreign country, she doesn't speak the language, and she's trying to catch up with all the other life stressors that add to her education. I mentioned Suseli, but she is just one of the recent examples of students who make part in the Palm Beach School District. Equity for Suseli matters. Guiding parents through the school system is nothing new for us, and through the years we fostered relationships with the schools in Lake Worth and learned from the staff in one of our local high schools that the percentage of English learners to graduate are 1 out of 2, a 50% chance. There's no use of saying that we care about the students if we're not acknowledging all of the outside factors affecting their lives and education. Racism is very real. Poverty is very real. Discrimination is very real. The staff and administrators in the surrounding schools are nothing short of incredible and are trying to meet the needs of our families and understanding how we could bridge the gaps in the systems. Yet they are bound by the structure of the institutions. At the center, our outreach staff fulfill the indispensable role meeting and guiding new arrivals among the thousands of families that we serve each month. We have about 20 Indigenous employees, mostly speakers of Kanjoval, Mam, and Popti, whose skills are in cultural competency, but for whose generation the school district could not enroll. What difference does it make if the teachers show respect for the home and families, if people can't recognize the difference between unity and uniformity? Acknowledging the importance of equity and past structural failures of the school system is the first step towards reaching real change. We at the Guatemala Maya Center stand by the school board's equity statement and critical race curriculum and are committed to helping the school district in all the areas that we are capable of. Thank you guys for your work and thank you for having us today.
Hello. My name is Desiree Miranda. I'm here to speak against the equity statement. I'm Latina, half Colombian, half Puerto Rican. My husband's Cuban. Our country has come so far from labels and segregation. The USA is the least racist country in the world, and the perfect example of that is Barack Obama. If our country was so racist, how did he get elected not once but twice? Let's celebrate how far we've come as a country. Yes, our history is ugly, but what country isn't? Let's learn from those mistakes, not erase them. I am not okay with being labeled as a person of color. That's racist. My son's high school sent out an email to have virtual meetings to talk about racism. As parents, we had to check off if we were a person of color or a white ally. I've never been so offended. Being a Hispanic American woman, I didn't want to check anything off. I'm a parent. We're all parents. I don't want to be labeled as a person of color, and I don't want white allies. I don't need white allies. We are all one. Ultimately, we are a product of the choices we make in life. Instead of pushing this divisive language, let's focus on making sure all schools have the same resources, things that will actually make a change. Stop pushing victimhood. We are Americans. We are all one human race.
Peter Green, Desiree Miranda, Jill Wells, James Wells. That was Desiree. Mariana Blanco. Peter Green, Jim Wells, James Wells. You here? Myra DeMongo, David King, Father Frank O'Laughlin. Go ahead, any of you come up to the podium, it's fine.
Hi.
Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon. I sent yesterday a 16-page paper on proposing a critical thinking course to unteach racism, and because I think it's common knowledge that racism is taught at home, indirectly or directly through cues, and given the fact that teachers and principals meet with students roughly on a weekly basis for 10 months, it would seem to me that they could be a real positive influence as it relates to teaching critical thinking. I think critical thinking is, I think we all can agree, is amiss in today's environment when, and I'm not being political, and I'm independent, but for example, 56% of Republicans today believe that Trump won the election, when in fact, Trump left office with the lowest approval rating of any president in history at 37%. So it would stand to reason, particularly after he fired his head of election security, Chris Krebs, the day after the election, when Krebs said the day before that the election was the most secure in history. So I think as a critical thinker, we can understand that there was not good faith by the former man. But having said that, I think critical thinking would also be applicable and helpful with today's problem of gun control, gun violence. Today we had a mass shooting in San Jose, multiple people were killed. I think it's high time that gun control be addressed, and I think children are very amenable to thinking practically and without bias. And so therefore, I believe critical thinking, again, could help in that regard. I would also like to propose 2 adjunct courses in conjunction with critical thinking, because as it relates to unteaching racism, and the reason for that is a dialogue needs to be created. We just can't have enough to say in our curriculum, stop Asian bias, stop Asian. These are buzzwords. We have to devote time to making individuals think differently. And in conjunction with that, I think I'm 62, and I was born in 58, so I've seen a couple of generations. And I think what's also missing in today's society is the art of manners, manners and the art of conversation. And I think if we can instill that in children, a better dialogue will occur, a better approach to potential employers, potential guidance counselors.
Sir, your time is up.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
James Wells. Turn the camera on in the other room, please. I believe Mr. and Mrs. Wells are in that room.
Yes, we are.
Go ahead, ma'am.
First of all, I don't have any more children in the Palm Beach County school system. Our youngest son just graduated from West Boca last year and was part of this homeschooling stuff. And that right off was a first class joke. All right. They didn't do anything for him. And as far as what you're trying to shove down these kids' throats is this critical race theory, you're wrong. It's not your job to teach our kids about race. It's ours as the parents. Your job is to teach them the basics, reading, writing, arithmetic, and teach them socializing so they can make it in the world out there just like we do. The stuff that you're trying to force down our kids' throats is not good. We don't see race as parents. I don't see race. My husband is a 21-year veteran of the United States Army, and I am a state representative with the Florida National Guard. I am Unit FRG in charge of family readiness, okay? And we do not see race in the military. We see brothers and sisters in arms. What you're trying to indoctrinate with our kids is wrong. If you want to play politics, this is not the arena. You get out of the school board. If you want to get on politics, go run. But do not shove this stuff down our kids' throats. You have no right to do this. You have no idea what you're doing to these kids. You're wrong on everything that you're doing. And I have one thing to say to you all. You're fired.
Go ahead, sir. State your name.
James Wells. You just talked to my wife, and yes, I'm a 21-year U.S. Army veteran. I retired in January 2018. During my time in service, I served with all my brothers and sisters. We had one mission, and that was to get the mission done, to get it accomplished and do what we had to do. We never saw race. We never saw color. We never even saw religion. We all saw simply we were brothers and sisters for all the same cause. Teaching our kids race in school is wrong, and it should not be taught at all. And with that said, you guys need to go back and learn how we Americans feel, to teach our kids that we all need to get along as Americans. Also, as the mask thing, I don't see a point that our children should have any kind of mask to be worn at all. You have no right to say our children should have to wear a mask. There is no physical proof of a pandemic. All of it is just a simply over-exaggerated flu of you simply trying to control the American population and make us do what you wanted to say. It's not about control. It's not about what you want. It's what the people want and who we are. And with that said, the only other thing I have to say for you are is that you're all fired.
Woo! You're fired! Fire!
Desiree Miranda, Myra DeMongo, David King, and Father Frank O'Laughlin. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good afternoon. My name is Myra Domingo, and I'm from a small town in Guatemala called Jacaltenango, where the most common language is Popti. I moved to the United States at 15 years old. In Guatemala, only rich people go to school and have a career, and my mom and dad wanted us to have a better future. When I moved here, I went straight into high school, not knowing any English and not having anyone to guide me through the school system. My first 3 years were okay, but when I went into my senior year, I lacked guidance on how to graduate or go to college. Senior year, I failed all my tests and nearly didn't pass my senior year until I retook the SAT and was able to get my diploma. Right after I graduated, I began working at a restaurant where I stayed as late as 1 a.m. every day to help support my family of 7. I still struggled speaking English, and I knew I wanted to work somewhere else. I wanted to help children who had similar experience to me. I began practicing my English by myself with phone apps and by watching movies. A friend of mine was a teacher, and she contacted me about a position open at Lakewood Middle School in the school district as a Popti CLF translator. I was interviewed as soon as offered a position. The pay was really low, but I wanted to work with them to help the children who were struggling like I did. I started to work with the school district in October 2019, and they introduced me to a group of kids who could not write or read in English or Spanish. I had to work with them daily, from teaching them to write their names, to encourage them to graduate high school instead of entering the workforce at 15 years. I know we all work so hard to help these children out, but they lack of support, and it often felt like the system had forgotten about them. When I had arrived in the United States, my mom enrolled us in a youth group for teenagers at the Guatemalan Maya Center, so we had a place to belong. I had fallen in love with the program, seeing how they help people out with everything they could. When I saw the work that they were doing, I told myself that I wanted to work with them in the future. I needed to provide the same services that they were providing me and my family. It was a dream come true to work with them, and now Now that I am with the outreach program, I see how many families come to us because they don't understand basic things about their children's school or the education system works. Our parents know that the Guatemalan Maya Center is always here to support them, and we're happy to see that with the equality statement, the school district is showing that they were here to support them too. We need to make a change. Thank you.
Members of the board, chairman, thank you for this honor. I'm Frank O'Loughlin, and I'm at the Guatemalan Maya Center. I have a history of 50 years of worrying about the children of the workforce in Palm Beach County and Martin County. It became a kind of a career, and at times I've been a nuisance to you people and to the work you do. I don't know if you remember. Can you remember when a migrant child would spend 3 years in the first grade and never make any progress through no fault of their own? You have done miracles transforming the system, and what you have undertaken with this statement is the most beautiful and promising thing. You make an old guy cry. I was in next county, up Martin County, struggling for years with the school board. And lovely people though they were, eventually had to give up and found a little school. You think I wanted to go out and found a school separate from the system? We had to go out and found Hope Rural School in the county to take care of the kids. What you've undertaken here, we can talk all day about languages. There's languages of philosophy, psychology, modern science, and sociology that we can use to talk about this. There can be arguments about the words, but there can be no arguments about the disposition of what you have undertaken. And there can be no argument about the era in which you have stepped up and done it. We need all of us to do as much for one another as you have done for us here. We need to speak to the realities, the truths of our past and present, and the future that is possible and achievable before us. So for this, I thank you and endorse you. God bless.
David King, Carl Muhammad, Ezekiel Edmonds III, and Charmaine Paul.
Good evening, board chair, or good afternoon, board chair, board members, and everyone in your respective places, superintendent and everyone in your respective places. I stand in full support of the equity statement as it has been approved. While I understand the statements that can be found within the equity statement, the work was done, went out to the community, and then was approved. The reason why the equity work was done was not only because it was necessary, it was to change the precedent that is currently set. While I am disgusted, my notes came up, sorry about that. While I am disgusted that we are here today, I am pleading that the statement stay as it is. Appeasing one set of the community today without educating the community that is ignorant of the topic is dangerous. Today, one group will win. Tomorrow, will the opposing group have a chance? As much as we use the word equity, as much as we say we want to see the equity work, this is it. This is the equity work. And as we like to say, we see you. The rest of my time, I'm going to read a few comments from the Equity Committee, members of the Equity Committee. Sue Davis Killen, Gold Coast Down Syndrome Organization, and this was passed through staff. I would like to see the phrase in question, white privilege, removed. Not because I think there's anything wrong with it, but because I feel that one phrase will distract from the very important work we have to do with the equity. Let's not give the racial inequity deniers any ammunition to sidetrack the efforts. Rachel Mondesir, in order to achieve the vision that the school district of Palm Beach County has, the children will be embraced, affirmed, and inspired. The school district must be steadfast, intentional, and committed to understanding how systemic racism has created barriers that are contributing to the achievement gap. The disparities that we are seeing in the achievement gap are from systems that are impacted by bias, underrepresentation, and unequal access to opportunities. The time to take action to dismantle these systems and structures that are rooted in equity is now. Kimberly Spare-O, ESC Advisory Committee. I disagree with the mob and believe, as a privileged white person, that the original language acknowledging the non-white students face educational disadvantages and additional struggles should stay. Marsha Guthrie, West Palm Beach NAACP. We are at a critical juncture in our nation, our state, and right here in the public school district, we send our most valuable treasures, our children, to learn. This is a time where, if I may just finish this statement.
Quickly.
Thank you. This is a time where leadership absolutely matters and bold policy and direction is a must. If we cover now the pressures of doing what is right, what our children deserve, what we will tell them in the future. How will we answer the question Vice President Harris raised when she stated, years from now, this moment will have passed, and our children and our grandchildren will look in our eyes and ask, where were you when the stakes were so high? They will ask us, what was it like? And we will tell them, not just how we felt. We will tell them what we did. And I'll send the rest of the documents to the board directly. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl Muhammad, Ezekiel Edmonds III, are you here? All right, board members, that takes care of everyone, I think, that's here to speak in person. We do have 70 recorded messages that'll take us approximately 1 hour and 53 minutes to listen to. So if the IT department would start running those for us, please.
My name is Klaus Bell. I have 3 children in the district. I'm a white resident of Palm Beach County, and I believe that we need to leave the equity statement as is. We need to leave the language about white advantage in there for the reason that I think it's important for the schools to take on racial equity in a serious way, and doing that requires being honest about the current state of affairs, because there's no way for us to move forward as a county, as a state, and really as Americans without acknowledging the way things have been, which is that white people have a leg up in our society in a million different ways. And I think, for us to move forward as a multicultural society in the modern age, we're going to have to deal with that. And so I think it's important for the school for the schools to face that honestly. So I'm calling in favor of keeping the equity statement as is, and I would not support changing it at this time. Thank you. Bye.
Hello, my name is Christian D. Searcy Jr. I am a resident of District 1 of the school board area, and I just want to call and make sure that you hear my support that I would like to retain the white advantage words in the submission as it is written. As a white parent, I do believe it is important for us to get an accurate view of history and not try to gloss over things that have happened in the past that may not be the most flattering to us. I think the only way we learn and grow as a people is if we both understand our history and are willing to admit any mistakes that we may have made in the past. Nobody's perfect. It doesn't mean they're in any way evil. But the only way we can make sure that we avoid repeating the same mistakes is to at least learn what mistakes we have made in the past. So again, I want to retain the language as it is written. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jackie Watts, and I would like to speak on the equity statement. I'd like to tell the board that this is not an easy fix. As Ms. Ayala pointed out, all of you had agreed ahead of time to stand firm in your convictions because you knew it was a bold statement. Saying that we parents don't understand what you mean by structures rooted in white advantage is complete horse manure. To pretend that you don't know what critical race theory is hilarious. You are either some of the best actors I've ever seen, or you have no idea what's going on in the school system across the country. Placing such a focus on the theory that white people are born into advantage shows white people in a negative light to children. And then going a step further and not only telling kids that white people are born better than you, but that you also have to take away any advantages they might have, is teaching kids to be racist. This statement that you added in there is racist. Last week, you seemed upset because you were called communists and Marxists, because the statement that you all put together is just that. Equity is an attribute of being fair and impartial, but it goes the extra mile. Kamala Harris, in one of her campaign ads on equity versus equality, because they are not the same, says equitable treatment means we all end up at the same place. She also points out that to end up at the same place, we all need to start at the same place, aka stripping people of their individual rights. Now, systems rooted in white advantage, according to your Racial Equality Institute training, means that all white people have enjoyed special advantages since before they were born, and that they are still reaping the rewards of racial preference. To recap, saying that you will be proactive in dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and then redistributing resources is at its core Marxist ideology. Instead of teaching children that they all have inherent value and that their character and virtue matter more than anything on earth, even their skin color, you want to teach them that their value and identity is solely based on the color of their skin. I can't possibly see anything more divisive than that. Lastly, I request that you please get those racist brain pop videos out of our children's lives. They don't need to learn politics at school. Moral development. If you cannot see the damage you are doing to our society by targeting the innocence of our children, I have no choice but to remove my 3 children from the Palm Beach District schools.
My name is Lisa Russo, and I am leaving a comment for the equity workshop meeting. I would like to say that I went to school in Palm Beach County from 1985 to 1993. And during that time, I have not noticed any structure that would not have provided equal opportunity for all students. In fact, there is and was plenty of guidance, resources, and opportunities for those students who wish to succeed in their own direction if they desire to do so, no matter their skin color, religion, or status. Do you want to know why? It's because they weren't told by the school board that they were less than, that they were oppressed and victims of society, and that one particular race held all the power to prevent their success in life. Achievements will be lessened among students with this equity statement implemented. In fact, just in case you didn't know, libraries still accept all people and they are free, as well as many resources online. So if you have the desire to succeed no matter what race or status you are, you will succeed because you have that drive. Now, making one group a victim based on their skin color and making another group the blame group is not how you empower people. Believe that they are successful already. They have what it takes and they have the will and desire to make their dreams a reality. The way of thinking of a victim is damaging to children. They walk into schools thinking that they don't have what it takes and being told that they're oppressed. This is the mindset you want? Do you think they're somehow at a disadvantage and have been all this time based on the color of their skin? I see a major problem with that. One will never achieve success accepting a role as a victim and blaming another for their lack of achievement. Empowerment never casts blame or plays the victim. You and only you are responsible for your success and achievement. You cannot raise your value of self, empowerment, and success on one hand while demonizing and holding blame and accusing another or a school system as the reason you didn't succeed. This does not build character. Let's go back to the content of people's character and not the color of their skin. One must also consider the amount of mixed-race families and children in the district. What will a mixed-race child think about this, his or her parents, if they each have different ethnicity? If you haven't noticed, we live in the 21st century, and many families are now mixed and blended. How are
Good morning to the school board of Palm Beach County. My name is Marisa Severin, and I am a mother of 2 children in the Palm Beach County School District. I am speaking on behalf of the equity topic on the agenda today. I'm calling in opposition to the equity statements recently discussed to implement in Palm Beach County School District. As a former Californian for the majority of my life, I have watched the destruction of the school district and state there into ruin by implementing these Marxist ideals. I do not believe that it is the school district's place to bring race and division into my home. It is my job to teach my children how to be a kind, loving, and accepting human being. You are creating division instead of healing it. By bringing these equity statements into the school district, you are opening the door and allowing these super far leftist Marxist ideals into our county. In California, children are taught about sex, race, and hate in kindergarten. In kindergarten, they are 6. They just love each other at that point, and you are teaching them to hate. As a teacher in an after-school private sector, I watched my students become more and more brainwashed and hateful towards each other by learning all of these ideals. You are teaching them to hate instead of teaching them to love one another, help one another, and encourage one another to be their best self. Encourage them to work hard, to earn their achievements. Reward them based on their ethics and hard work. Teach them skills to be successful in the future. Don't let them play the victim card. That's a disservice to everybody. Teach them to be strong, to be confident, mentally and emotionally balanced individuals. Teach them to be team players while also learning healthy, competitive individual skills. This is what our youth needs, not your political agenda.
Hi, my name is Ashley Labad. I work in the charter section of Palm Beach County, the one section that is disrespected probably most, maybe because charter schools tend to do better than public schools. Let's talk about ethics before equity. You are unethical. Preaching white privilege to teachers, staff, and students is not okay. You are telling these kids they can't achieve anything unless they are white. Stop. Just stop. How about promoting you can do anything you set your mind to? If you truly want to get it, life is what you make of it, and if you put in the hard work, you can get there. If my students knew what you were pushing, they'd be appalled. Why don't you spend the last few weeks in our classrooms, and I don't mean just 5, 10, 30 minutes, spend the whole day and see that racism is being pushed by you, not them. Do the right thing and stop this equity nonsense. My students do not want to hear it anymore. I do not want to hear it anymore. I should not be scared to speak up as a teacher. Other teachers should not be scared to speak up. Please know that my students judge by character, and many of them are mixed. And to tell them that you have to be white to achieve something in life is telling them they don't have to fight for it. Please stop this now and get it together. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good day.
Hello, board members. My name is Victoria Dietz. I am a grandmother of students in Palm Beach County, and I am calling to give you some food for thought on this equity workshop that you're doing today. When I was a student back in the 1960s, our government worked very hard to remove segregation from our communities and make sure our students were all together in school together and sharing as peers and making friendships. My mother marched against the busing to keep us in our communities and keep us from being bused into another one. It happened anyway. It was the beginning of a wonderful movement of our students becoming peers versus seeing each other in color. I am very confused by this new equity statement and what you're trying to do in the schools today, because to me, it appears that you're going backwards and that you're trying to segregate our students based on color once again. Why are you trying to take apart what has taken so many years to be improved? This is needless. We don't need to do it. And instead of just changing the words, you need to change the entire program. I hope you consider this seriously and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. I am Pastor Ray Wiley and organizer with Faith in Florida. We are part of Faith in Action with more than 1,000 member institutions representing 1 million families in 150 cities and 17 states. The mission of Faith in Florida is to build a powerful, multicultural, nonpartisan network of congregation and community organizations in Florida that will address systemic, racial, and economic issues that cause poverty for our families. We stand with Palm Beach County in solidarity with Unify in our support for the School Board of Palm Beach County Equity Statement as is. It is imperative that our county's public school system is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and transforming our systems by hearing and elevating unprecedented voices, sharing power, and recognizing and eliminating bias, while distributing resources to provide equitable outcomes. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Julie Damsker. I know you guys don't weigh these Coleman comments very heavily after last meeting. You made a decision without listening to all the phone calls. But because you set these meetings up at a very inconvenient time for working parents, I am unable to attend today. I just would like to state that I find your mission statement and your equity statement very damaging, very I don't know how anyone could have pride in that after what it was previously. I really would like to learn more about what this curriculum is and what you're going to be jamming down our children's throats. Also, it doesn't matter what topics you're talking about going forward. You have the parents' attention. If you decide you want to change food on the menu at school, we will be there listening, commenting, dissecting you, because we have zero faith, zero trust that you actually care about our children. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Trinetta Rutherford with Faith in Florida. We are part of Faith in Action with more than 1,000 member institutions representing 1 million families and 150 cities and 17 states. The mission of Faith of Florida is to build a powerful, multicultural, nonpartisan network of congregation community organizations in Florida that will address systematic racial and economic issues that cause poverty for our families. We stand with Palm Beach County in solidarity to unify and our support of the School Board of Palm Beach County Equity Statement as is. It is imperative that our county public school system is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and elevating underrepresented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating bias, and redistributing resources to provide equitable outcomes. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Cassandra Thompson with Faith in Florida. We are part of Faith in Action with more than 1,000 member institutions representing 1 million families in 150 cities and 17 states. The mission of Faith in Florida is to build a powerful, multicultural, nonpartisan network of congregational community organizations in Florida that would address systemic racial and economic issues that cause poverty for our families. We stand with Palm Beach County in solidarity with Unified in our support for the School Board of Palm Beach County Equity Statement as is. It is imperative that our county's public school system is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and evaluating underrepresented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating bias, and redistributing resources to provide equitable outcomes. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Evangeline Ward with Faith in South Florida. We are part of Faith in Action with more than 1,000 members, institutions representing 1 million families in 150 cities and 17 states. The mission of Faith in Florida is to build a powerful, multicultural, nonpartisan network of congregations, community organizations in Florida that will address systematic racial and economic issues that cause poverty for all of our families. We stand with Palm Beach County in solidarity with Unified in our support for the School Board of Palm Beach County Equity Statement as is. It is imperative that our county's public school system is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantages and transforming our systems by hearing and elevating underrepresented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating bias, and redistributing resources to provide equitable outcome for all. Thank you very much.
Rebecca Miller, and I'm calling about the equity workshop. I would prefer for the teachers and the school system to get back to teaching math, English, and things that are needed, not a division between white and black. I'm having a real issue with this, that this has been taught at school. We need to get away from that. I'm seeing that y'all are putting a division between our children at each other. I've had children come home and crying to me that how horrible that we are, that because we're white people. I'm tired of it. And this must stop. And it is not the teacher's place to bring this to the children and make children feel bad because they're white. This must stop. This is cruelty. I can't even believe that I'm living in this present time that we would be doing this. Sending home children crying. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Tiffany Young, and I'm calling to speak on and leave a recorded message on the equity program. I raise a Hispanic grandchild. I have 3 biracial grandchildren. This is teaching hate and division within families. This is causing so much damage and has absolutely no place in our school system. You are dividing families. You are causing conflicts between families. You are there to educate our children. You are there to teach them their basic needs and to educate them on math, reading, spelling, science, history, not things that belong in the household spoken about. This needs to end now. This, once again, has no business being in our schools. Thank you.
My name is Nicole Tarsia, and I'm a concerned community member in Palm Beach County. I am aware of and continually learning about my advantages as a white woman. The school district of Palm Beach County's equity statement, as is a bold declaration, and the language, dismantling structures rooted in white advantage, should remain in the statement. I do not believe that we can dismantle racism and systematic oppression if we do not also confront white advantage, which fosters and perpetuates these systems. If we take out the language regarding white advantage, we are not confronting ourselves, our history, and the systems of oppressions inflicted on marginalized communities. I know many white people don't believe white advantage exists. They think, I'm also struggling. I've had a difficult life. How can I have white advantage? No one is trying to say that you're not struggling or to lessen the impact of your experiences. But you still have advantages, many of them unrecognizable to you, that enable you to navigate the world without fear and consciousness that the color of your skin impacts how others perceive and treat you. When I walk through the aisles of my local food store, I see bleaching creams marketed to light and dark skin. Why do you think that is? Why are Black people taught that they are not worthy as they are, that they should be something other? And why are all of us, regardless of skin color, taught that white is right? Families, communities, churches, businesses, financial institutions, government, healthcare, law enforcement, housing, prisons, and schools. Societal systems all intertwined, perpetuating racism and impacting generations. It is a continual cycle, and we aren't willing to call it out. Our European ancestors came to this country with many good intentions, a chance to succeed and create new lives for themselves. But at what cost? The truth is that this country, in all its strength, was founded on genocide and slavery, even as our Constitution espoused freedom for Eastern European white people. And even after slavery ended on the books, we continue to experience the ripple effects today. White people have the luxury of not noticing these ripple effects, and that is white advantage, which is why the district's language should remain as is. Board members, please be brave and keep the language as is. And community members, please open your hearts to learning something new about yourself, our shared history, and what people other than you are experiencing.
Good morning, I'm Mr. Brown with Faith in Florida. We are part of Faith in Action with more than 1,000 member institutions representing 1 million families in 150 cities and 17 states. The mission of Faith in Florida is to build a powerful, multicultural, nonpartisan network of congregation community organizations in Florida that will address systemic racial and economic issues that cause poverty for our families. We stand with Palm Beach County in solidarity with unity and our support for the school board of Palm Beach County Equity Statement as is. It is imperative that our county's public school system is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and elevating underrepresented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating bias, and redistributing resources to provide equity outcomes. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Laura Duffy. I'm a mother of 3 in Jupiter, and I'm calling regarding the equity workshop today, or critical race theory, that is being introduced to our schools. I'm shocked and appalled that anything is being taught in our schools except love and acceptance, and that skin color is only a matter of difference of melanin. That is all. I cannot believe that the educators on the board actually think that this is okay to teach our children. Anything that incites divide and hate should not be part of the curriculum whatsoever. The only thing that should be taught, I repeat again, is love and acceptance of all people in one human race. I'm sitting here with my baby, and I cannot believe that we are actually having this conversation. It makes me think that the people on the board are not fit to serve our children. I hope you make the right choice and change the curriculum to love and acceptance of all.
Good morning, school board members. I am calling in regards to the equity statement. I'm Ms. Taylor. I am a white mom of a 14-year-old student of the school district of Palm Beach County. I'm calling in support of the equity statement as is. The problem is many white parents do not truly know what white advantage is. They don't understand the language or the terminology. It's the fact that I don't have to have the talk with my son about keeping his hands 10 and 2 on the steering wheel if approached by a police officer in order to keep him safe and alive. I don't worry when I'm followed in a store. They're usually trying to upsell me. They don't think I'm trying to steal something. I'm not looked at every day and judged based on the color of my skin. I don't have to think about the color of my skin every day. I don't worry that my son will be bullied because of the color of the skin. My child can easily see himself in books because the pictures and stories are vastly based on white culture. I don't worry about being treated differently by the police, by doctors, or nurses because of the color of my skin. I don't have to talk to my son about how he will be treated based on the color of his skin. That is my advantage. I didn't ask for it, but it's mine because I'm a white woman. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kara Jennings. I'm the parent of 2 children in Palm Beach County. My son will be entering 3rd grade at Highland Elementary School. I'm calling to make a comment regarding the equity statement that the school board released. I fully support the equity statement. I think the term white advantage should remain in the statement. I think the statement very clearly addressed the issues that we face in this county. As a white person with 2 white children, who my neighborhood school is a majority non-white school, I meet families all the time who are concerned about sending their child, their white child, to a school that does not have the advantage of having a majority white student, as there is a perceived and a real advantage to schools that benefit from having more white students due to the economics and the white privilege that come along with that. I think the school board statement very clearly addressed this issue and the need to make changes so that this inequity does not continue. I hope the school board members will stick to their guns, keep the statement as it is, and allow us to move forward as a county and a community to address the inequity that is prevalent in our school district. Thank you.
Good morning. Reverend Dr. Jared Picklen, President of the Palm Beach County Clergy Alliance. On the agenda item concerning the Palm Beach County Equity Statement, we, the clergy of Palm Beach County, stand in solidarity with Unify and Faith in Florida, as well as Organize Against Racism, in our support that the School Board of Palm Beach County Equity Statement remains as is. It is imperative that our county's public school system is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and elevating unprecedented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating bias, and redistributing resources to provide equitable outcomes. We stand in solidarity because it's necessary for the well-being of all of our students. I want to say that as clergy, we understand that the well-being of our kids is paramount. So when we understand, when we eliminate bias and eliminate advantages that should not be there, it makes it an even playing field for all, and we achieve the equity that we all so desire. Thank you so very much.
Good morning. I'm Juliet Knight with Faith in Florida. We are part of Faith in Action with more than 1,000 member institutions representing 1 million families in 150 cities and 17 states. The mission of Faith in Florida is to build a powerful, multicultural, nonpartisan network of congregation community organizations in Florida that will address systematic racial and economic issues that cause poverty for our families. We stand with Palm Beach County in solidarity with the Unify in our support for the School Board of Palm Beach County Equity Statement as is. It is imperative that our county's public school system is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and elevating underrepresented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating bias, and redistributing resources to provide equitable outcomes. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Todd LeVogue. I'm a 53-year-old white male and a teacher in Palm Beach County schools. I think the new equity statement that you have created is important. It needs to stay as is. Keeping the phrase white advantage in the statement is important. And I just wanted to let you know, as a white male, I do think that this phrase is important to remain in the equity statement. And it's important that we address this issue of systemic racism in our society. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Christy Ward with Faith in Florida. We are part of a Faith in Action with more than 1,000 members, institutions representing 1 million families in 150 cities and 17 states. The mission of Faith in Florida is to build a powerful, multicultural, nonpartisan network of congregation community organizations in Florida that will address systemic racial and economic issues that cause poverty for our families. We stand with Palm Beach County in solidarity with Unify and our support for the School Board of Palm Beach County Equity Statement as is. It is imperative that our county's public school system is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and elevating underrepresented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating bias, and redistributing resources to provide equitable outcomes. Thank you. Have a great day.
Good morning. I'm Angela Jackson with Faith in Florida. We are part of Faith in Action with more than 1,000 member institutions representing 1 million families in 150 cities and 17 states. The mission of Faith in Florida is to build powerful, multicultural, nonpartisan network of congregation community organizations in Florida that will address systemic racial and economic issues that cause poverty for our families. We stand with Palm Beach County in solidarity with Unify and our support for the School Board of Palm Beach County Equity Statement as is. It is imperative that our county's public school system is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and elevating unrepresented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating bias, and redistributing resources to provide equitable outcomes. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Heidi Rabinowitz, and I am a white resident of Palm Beach County. I am an educator, and I am very concerned to hear that the board is considering dropping the term white advantage from the equity statement. The equity statement was beautifully, thoughtfully crafted. It is a very important guide to future policies and behaviors within our schools. and it absolutely should remain as written. I urge you not to give in to pressure from people who don't actually understand the purpose of this statement, their fearful response is a clear indicator for the need for this statement itself. So please stand firm and do not revise this very well-written equity statement. Thank you so much.
Good morning. I'm Vivian Peace with Faith in Florida. We are part of Faith in Action with more than 1,000 member institutions representing 1 million families in 150 cities and 17 states. The mission of Faith in Florida is to build a powerful multicultural nonpartisan network of congregation community organizations in Florida that will address systemic racial and economic issues that cause poverty for our families. We stand with Palm Beach County in solidarity with Unify in our support for the School Board of Palm Beach County Equity Statement as is. It is imperative that our county's public school system is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and elevating underrepresented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating bias, and redistributing resources to provide equitable outcomes. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Emily Bailoff, and I'm a parent, twin second graders in this district, and I'm calling in support of leaving the verbiage in the equity statement as is. And I will read it now. The school district of Palm Beach County is committed to dismantling racism and other systems of oppression and inequity. Achieving racial equity requires proactive and continuous investment in historically marginalized groups who have endured centuries of systemic oppression. The school district of Palm Beach County is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and elevating underrepresented voices. I am a white Jewish American, and the enabling of and elevation of the voices of racist bullies is clear, not only in our community, but within our nation, and that can be evidenced by what was the insurrection of our Capitol back in January. I find it absolutely intolerable that the voices of racist bullies were in fact elevated for 7 hours straight at last week's board meeting. We have to continue to teach our children that the words and the tone of our voices matter, and that they clearly do damage, evidenced in fact by the horror of many of the events, including the insurrection that occurred in the last 15 months. We have to continue to teach them that the First Amendment is the right for all of us. And last week, it was made clear by these verbally abusive bullies that not everyone's concerns were valid enough to be heard without booing in the background and bullying of the people who spoke those very words and concerns. Abusing the First Amendment right in the middle of a deadly pandemic with this anti-mask, anti-doctor crusade, and enabling these anti-maskers to believe that they have the right to scream, yell, pitch fits, and verbally attack public officials is a slap in the face to the founding fathers of our Constitution. Last week, Marjorie Taylor Greene compared mask and vaccine mandates to the treatment of Jews by Nazis during the Holocaust. And I am absolutely outraged because I heard the same anti-maskers also referenced Nazi Germany more than once during both school board meetings in the last 2 weeks. For these parents to compare public health measures intended to protect the public from the consequences of a deadly virus to any part of the horror that was the Holocaust is insulting. To any part of the horror that was the Holocaust is insulting to every single Jew who perished. And I am very concerned.
Hi, my name is Angela Sanchez-Knudsen. I would like an explanation as to what the definition of white advantage is. What do you consider white advantage? With that being said, all students should be given the same opportunities and be treated the same no matter their ethnic background and or skin color. That is to be applied to all students. No special treatment to a particular race or ethnicity, minority or not. This should be applied in the classroom and in all sporting activities. All students should be able to follow their ambitions, dreams, and move ahead based on their strengths. I'm extremely disappointed about the terminology used in the equity statement. With a panel of intelligent people, you decide to use race and divisive language to state all students should be treated equal. There was no need for any race baiting. There is no place for racial discrimination in any manner in our education system and in society. By using racial terminology, you are creating more racism in our society. Please help us parents and the community understand what the changes are. What does this look like, and what is the plan? Please consider changing the equity statement to be more inclusive for all students. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Stacey Davis with Faith in Florida. We are part of the Faith Action with more than 1,000 members, institutions representing 1 million families in 150 cities and 17 states. The mission of Faith in Florida is to build a powerful, multicultural, anti-partisan network of congregation community organizations in Florida that will address systematic racial and economic issues that cause poverty for our families. We stand with Palm Beach County in solidarity with Unify in our support for the School Board of Palm Beach County Equality Statement as is. It is imperative that our county school board system is committed to dismantling structures rooted in which white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and elevating unrepresented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating bias, and redistributing sources to provide equitable outcomes. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I am Tanya Lopez with Faith in Florida. We are part of Faith in Action with more than 1,000 member institution representing 1 million families in 150 cities and 17 states. The mission of Faith in Florida is to build a powerful, multicultural, nonpartisan network of congregation community organizations in Florida that will address systematic racial and economic issues that cause poverty for our families. We stand with Palm Beach County in solidarity with Unify in our support for the Palm Beach County Equity Statement as is. It is imperative that our county's public school system is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and alleviating underrepresented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating bias, and also redistributing resources to provide equitable outcomes. Thank you very much for your time, and have a good day.
Good morning. My name is Pastor Richard Dames, organizer with Faith in Florida. We're part of Faith in Action with more than 1,000 member institutions that represents 1 million families in over 150 cities and 17 states. We stand with Palm Beach County in solidarity with Unify in our support for the School Board of Palm Beach County Equity Statement as is. It is imperative that our county's public school system is committed to dismantling structures that is rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and elevating underrepresented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating biases, along with redistributing resources to provide equitable outcomes. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Cheryl Grimes with Faith in Florida. We are part of Faith in Action with more than 1,000 members representing 1 million families in 150 cities and 17 states. The mission of Faith in Florida is to build a powerful, multicultural, nonpartisan network of congregation community organizations in Florida that will address systemic racial and economic issues that cause poverty for our families. We stand with Palm Beach County in solidarity with Unify in our support for the School Board of Palm Beach County Equity Statement as is. It is imperative that our county's public school system is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and elevating underrepresented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating the bias, and redistributing resources to provide equitable outcomes. Thank you.
Hello, this is Nicholas Gubides. I live in West Palm Beach. Please keep the equity statement as it is written. If you fail to recognize that there is such thing as white privilege, then you will miss the mark on any equity statement. White privilege and white advantage are facts of this country. They are part of the foundation of this country. It was started to benefit white people. The laws were written to benefit white people. The police were formed to work for and benefit white people. The infrastructure was developed and built on the backs of labor, which was not from white people. If you are trying to make an equity statement, then you must accept this reality. Please do not allow anti-naysayers to convince you otherwise. They have opinions. We have facts. Please pass the equity statement as it is written, including this controversial white advantage and white privilege. Hopefully, it will no longer be controversial to accept facts in the future if you pass this. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Janera Wright with Faith in Florida. We are part of Faith in Action with more than 1,000 member institutions representing 1 million families in 150 cities and 17 states. The mission of Faith in Florida is to build a powerful, multicultural, nonpartisan network of congregations, community organizations in Florida that will address systematic racial and economic issues that cause poverty for our families. We stand with Palm Beach County in solidarity with Unify in our support for the School Board of Palm Beach County equity statement as is. It is imperative that our county's public school system is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and elevating disrepresented voices, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating bias, and undistributing resources to provide equitable outcomes. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Linda Collymore. The clergy of Palm Beach County stand in solidarity with Unify as well as Faith in Florida in our support for the School Board of Palm Beach County equity statement as is. It's imperative that our county's public school system is committed to dismantling structures that are rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and elevating underrepresented minorities, sharing power, recognizing and eliminating bias, and redistributing resources to provide equitable outcomes. Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Annie Eichel. I'm a resident of the Glades, and I'm calling in support of the current school district of Palm Beach County equity statement. As a member of the Glades and of Organizing Against Racism Palm Beach County Alliance, I am calling upon the School Board of Palm Beach County to uphold the current mission and vision statement, which is a representation to the commitment of equity for student success. The School District of Palm Beach County states that its mission to educate, affirm, and inspire each student in an equity-embedded school system. What does it mean to have equity-embedded school system if the system that is unwilling to address the realities of what caused inequity? This entails educating every student about all facets of history and inequities and how structural policies and laws have affected life outcomes for Black, Indigenous, and people of color. How can we purposely provide our students with a first-class education and preparation for the effective contributions to the global stage if we continue to enclose and defend hierarchy and oppressive systems that distort history? We must acknowledge that equity gaps between between students based on race, ethnicity, and income persist and thrive at the most institutions, and specifically in education. And as a Blaze resident, I have seen this firsthand. The very premise to which our educational system is built has created division and advantage primarily along racial lines. Acknowledging and affirming the ripple effects of historical inequities in education is one step towards realizing an equity-embedded system. As the school district's newly adopted statement envisions equity-centered policies and practices must be incorporated into the school district learning strategy, as well as initiatives and policies adopted that aid in the reduction of equity gaps. We must talk about race. Race-neutral efforts not only harm our Black and brown children, but it harms every student because it creates ignorance towards others. So therefore, I'm asking that we keep the language as is, and I thank you for this opportunity.
Good morning. I'm Marie Roundtree with Faith in Florida. We are part of Faith in Action with more than 1,000 members, institutions, representing 1 million families in 150 cities and 17 states. The mission of Faith in Florida is to build a powerful, multicultural, nonpartisan network of congregations, community, and organizations in Florida that will address systematic racial and economic issues that causes poverty for our families. We stand with Palm Beach County in solidarity with Unify and our support for the School Board of Palm Beach County. Statements as is. It is imperative that our county's public school system is committed to dismantling structures rooted in white advantage and transforming our system by hearing and elevating underrepresented voices, sharing powerful, recognizing and eliminating bias, and redistributing resources to provide adequate outcomes. Thank you.
My name is Pam Weisbrod. I'm a resident of Jupiter, and I have 2 grandchildren in the public school system in Palm Beach County. I'm calling on the topic that the board is currently considering. I'm very upset that the board is considering removing the phrase white advantage from this carefully crafted equity statement. The board spent a considerable time workshopping this, and this phrase is important as it underlines the root causes of the lack of equity in our school system. For the board to cave into a radical group who opposes this phrase because of their racist beliefs aligns the board with racists. We have no place for this in Palm Beach County, and we certainly have no place for this in Palm Beach County schools. I've taken the time to teach my grandchildren and my children that racial equity is important in the school system and in our community, and it is incumbent upon the school board to keep the proper phrasing because white privilege is real. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Leontine Brown. I am a resident of West Palm Beach, a voter and supporter of many of the current and past board members of the School District of Palm Beach County. I am calling today to stand in opposition to the potential repeal of the recently approved School District of Palm Beach County's equity statement. Now, more than ever, it is critical to not only close achievement gaps that have long been burdensome to Black and brown students, but to do so by acknowledging the ripple effects of historical inequities in education in this country. We must tell the truth about race in this country because only the truth will foster change. Race-neutral efforts not only harm our Black and brown students, it harms every student. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter, and I look forward to continuing to support you in these efforts in the very near future.
Hi, this is Laura Goodwin. I'm a student at West Boca Raton High School. I am making this call to encourage the school board, and more specifically Frank Barbieri, our district representative, to keep the equity statement as written. It is important to dismantle structures of white advantage in this country, including our education system, so that all students receive the opportunities and access to succeed. This statement is to not offend white people, but to identify that all of our systems in this country are meant to advantage white and disadvantage people of color. There is much to do to repair the inequities that come for There is much to do to repair the inequities and outcomes for people of color. These efforts do not harm or take away from white people, but benefit us all collectively. I am hopeful that we can put these words to action to ensure equity for all.
My name is Lynn Jones. I am the parent of a student in Palm Beach County. I am calling in reference to the equity workshop tonight. I will not be able to be there, but I would like my comments put in front of the board. We will not have you stoking division with our schools, within our schools. My son said that prior to 2019, they had no problems in the school. They did not look at race. They did not look at color. They looked at friends and values and respect, and that's who they chose as friends. I do not want those comments, those divisive comments, kept in our mission. And again, I will not have you stoke division within our schools. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Crystal Rambert, and I'm calling in support of keeping the equity statement as it is. I am the parent of 2 biracial children in the Palm Beach County School District. I myself am a woman of color and an immigrant, and I have lived experience of systemic oppression, and I strongly believe that our students deserve to be taught the truth, to be taught fairly in the most transparent way possible. And I think it's the responsibility of our schools and school districts to ensure that our children are given an accurate account of history to inform their education and their lives going forward. Thank you for your support, and I appreciate the attempt you started with the equity statement and would like to keep it as it is. Thank you.
Hi, hopefully I'm getting this in under the wire. My name's David King. I'm calling because I understand white privilege. I am white, and I read the equity statement, and I think it's fine as is. I think calling to remove it is going backwards. We need to be inclusive and acknowledge reality. Please keep the statement as is. I think that's best for everyone, and it addresses reality and helps heal our nation. Thank you.
Hi, members of the board and Dr. Fenoy. My name is Kyla Rios. I'm speaking on the equity workshop that's happening today, and I have to be honest with you, you have a lot of parents very nervous about this because of the critical race theory that's being thrown around in our nation right now. I wish we kind of knew what was going on with what you're thinking, and I do think it needs to be something that you include the parents on every step of the way. As of late, I've noticed that we as parents have been been way more motivated to babysit the board because a lot of things are coming down the pipeline that are making us extremely nervous. Can I tell you a quick description of my children's day? When they come home, they usually tell me something that happened. I'll ask them, oh, who did that funny thing on the playground? And they'll respond with something like, oh, the girl with the glasses, or the funny one, or they'll say something like, oh, the boy with the curly hair. Never once have my children come home and said to me, oh, the Spanish one, or the black one, or the white one. And that is because I have worked my butt off as a parent to teach my children to judge a person according to the content of their character and not the color of their skin.
they just don't see it. They don't see the color of their friend's skin. They see their humor. They see their intelligence. They see their ingenuity. It's really actually beautiful because I, as a parent, as a child, I didn't grow up that way. I had grandparents that didn't teach me that. So for me to have that attitude for my children, it literally makes me almost cry because it's so beautiful. But now we're starting to see that there's something coming down the pipeline where we're trying to reverse that. So we're trying to tell children, oh, this is something you need to know about, that other people of other skin colors have this place in society, and you have this place in society, and we're actually putting the glasses back on their faces that we've worked so hard for them not to have. I would suggest, Dr. Fenoy and members of the board, that you go sit in a classroom and you tell me, do you think these children need to be taught how to see their friends differently, how to judge their friends based on the color of their skin? Because right now they don't. They don't see it that way because we as the parents, we haven't taught them that way. So please do not reverse the hard work that we as the parents have put into our children to teach them that all of humankind is beautiful and wonderful, and they don't need to differentiate between their friend's skin color. Let me just check my notes. I've heard that it said that you've awoken the mama bear. Let me assure you that you have. And you've also awoken the papa bears in this county, and we are watching very, 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 very carefully about what you're doing right now. We will take action to make sure that you do not continue to harm our children with the policies that have been coming down, and now with this racial rhetoric. Thank you so much for.
Yes, my name is Sona Shorenden, and I am a parent, and I am a woman of color, and I am an educator, and I am an advocate. And I urge you to accept the equity statement as written, as is, and I urge you not to edit the statement in the spirit of equity. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Christine Januszewski. Like many parents, I'm not going to stand by while you try to push division and racism on our children. Your new so-called mission and push to teach racism is nothing but a movement to drag white people through the mud and bring back the race wars of the past. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would speak out against your movement. He would remind you that he fought for equal rights and love, and that you are taking a huge leap backwards. You are fueling hatred within people who have never had it before. Let me just point out some so-called white privilege that you speak of, that my son, for example, encountered in your district. First of all, a few years back, he was being tested for giftedness. He missed qualifying by a point. Why? Because he did not earn extra points for being a minority. Oh, wait, that isn't white privilege, is it? That's minority privilege. But we do not fight against the perks and extras that are given to minorities. Equal opportunity these days could mean minorities have an advantage, as in minority quotas on jobs and college assistance. Skin color and ethnic backgrounds are constantly taken into consideration when planning classes in the district as well. You see, there is no white privilege going on in our schools or in society. Ben Carson is a highly intelligent man who did not come from an affluent background, and yet he was able to become an outstanding neurosurgeon and a cabinet member handpicked by a white president. Wow. Oh, wait, that isn't white privilege, because Ben Carson is black. And I must note that I respect and look up to Ben Carson. He has more intelligence in his pinky finger than any of you or all of your brains combined. And I don't mean disrespect. I'm just pointing out that you have a very, very ignorant push with this racism. I could go on and on for hours about the successful black people who have been helped by the system to get where they are, and also those who did it on their own. And also about white people slighted because of the system, or did it on their own. But I won't. They should be taught that hard work and determination gets you places. All have the opportunity to get where they want to be. No one should be handed anything or have anything taken away because of skin color or ethnic background. That is not equality. So you do not need to force division and hatred towards all white demographics. We as parents need to teach love, tolerance, and acceptance of all people. We need to teach our children to look at people as individuals and not judge them by their looks or by history. We should never generalize. You should not be involved in the teaching of values and morals to our children because you are one-sided and very, very wrong. Your CRT is a theory, a very racist theory, and we will not stand for it. You are a disgrace to the educational institution. Stick with teaching academics. You know nothing about love and peace.
Hello, my name is Marissa Stevens. I'm calling as a mother of a black son and a white daughter, and I'm calling because I oppose the new equity statement and whatever you guys are doing with trying to introduce the critical race theory. We came here to Florida from California, where they were using the critical race theory to abuse our children. My daughter was told that slavery was her fault. She had to constantly apologize for being a white child. And my son was told that if he were to encounter a police officer, they would kill him on the spot. And first of all, none of this is true. If you look at the statistics, policing in America is not killing one race more than the other. One, white people are getting killed just as much. We have his father, who is an officer, a black officer, agrees with me, and he's highly against this propaganda you guys are trying to push. So I don't know how you think that makes black children feel. He was also told that hard work and turning in work on time, being a good person are all attributes of whiteness, that he would never be able to be that because he doesn't have white advantage. And that's terrible. It's terrible to be pushing this on these children. And I personally feel like if Alexandria and Megan Bell and all these other white liberals feel like they have white advantage, then why aren't they giving up their jobs? Why aren't they giving up their positions that they've gotten with this white advantage and letting, other black or POC individuals to have those positions? Okay, why aren't you giving all of your money to all the other black people that are not working? Okay, and furthermore, Megan Bell is trying to get rid of a black member of this school board. So she's saying that she has all this white advantage, but then she wants Marcia to be fired. So personally, I feel like liberals are exactly the same as they've always been. These teacher activists, these school board activists, these union activists are basically just a KKK reincarnate. Okay? They want to make black people feel like they cannot ever succeed. They want to stay above them. They want to show all their white advantage, their white privilege. I mean, it's pretty much the equivalent of the KKK. Okay? And I will not tolerate it. I will take my kids out. We've had it. Thank you.
Hello, this is Amanda Silvestri. I'm calling on the equity agenda. Good evening. I'm sorry to the parents that I could not be there in person. 1 to 6 does not work for many of us. The board knew that already, though. I would like to start by saying that as opposed to this equity statement as I am also not ignorant to the fact that you, the board, have already began your indoctrination mission long ago. I will quote from a gifted endorsement course document. White teachers and the white children they teach need to understand their position of privilege. How dare you call out a race like this? That is racist. There is a book students are reading called Ghost Boys. This is a story about a boy of color that was killed by a police officer. What are you attempting to teach these children? What is wrong with you? I would like to quote Mr. Barbieri from the equity meeting on 4/14 that nobody knew about. He says, quote, "We do not want to take this out to the community for them to start wordsmithing this. Like Ms. Robinson said, they will say, now you're taking opportunities